Chapter 159. Zhou Fu's words seemed to have opened the door to a new world for the two of them. As the saying went, it was easy to avoid the king of hell, but difficult to deal with the little ghost. The constables on the list were the lowest in the bureaucratic system, but they had the power to investigate and arrest. They were the evil ghosts in the eyes of the commoners. Usually, these evil ghosts were raised freely. Now that they had fallen into Zhou Fu's hands, the scene on the East Pier in the future, Huang Feng and Chen Guhong suddenly felt a gust of cold wind blowing into their collars. They couldn't help but shiver. Then, they buried their heads and silently memorized the list. Seeing that the two of them stopped talking, Zhou Fu got some peace and quiet. He closed his eyes slightly, then activated the qi and blood in his body to check his body. In the past 2 days of continuous battles, he didn't have time to heal his injuries. He relied on his own recovery ability to endure. Now that he had time, he naturally had to check and recuperate. After about 20 minutes, Huang Feng and Yu Zhenghai had almost memorized everything that they needed to remember. It was impossible to memorize the entire list. Therefore, they only memorized the names of the constables. As for the constables under the constables, they didn't need to worry about them. At this moment, footsteps were heard outside the door. "Young master, shopkeeper Jean is here." Yuju's voice was heard. Zhou Fu opened his mouth and said, "Let him in." Jean Peng, who was outside the door, first thanked Yuju, then pushed the door open and entered. He walked into the room and bowed. "Greetings, sir. Have a seat." "Yes." Jean Peng turned to look at Chen Guhong and Huang Feng. He smiled and then sat down next to Chen Guhong. Zhou Fu asked, "What happened to the steward serene, sir?" "Sir, he has already spoken." Jean Peng took out a few pieces of paper. On them were shopkeeper Shir's words. Seeing that Jean Peng was about to stand up and deliver the papers, Zhou Fu waved his hand. "No need, just say it." "Yes. According to Mr. Shir, a man in black broke into his house one night half a month ago. He held a knife in front of his eyes and threatened that if any of his workers dared to go to the Huang Jia and Chen family shops to buy things, he would be killed. Later, the black-clothed man even gave him 50 taels of silver. Therefore, the one surnamed Shir followed the black-clothed man's instructions." "So he doesn't know who that person is?" "Yes, from the beginning to the end, caretaker Shir did not know who the other party was. Moreover, the silver that the black silver man gave him is the kind that is commonly seen in the market. There is no special mark on it, so there is no way to investigate it." "Haha, your hands and feet are clean." Zhou Fu laughed. Thinking about the burning of Huang Jia's shop, it was normal that the other party did not leave a message. If they really did leave a message, Zhou Fu would have to make a careful judgment. "My lord, how should we deal with that Shir fellow?" Zhou Fu thought for a moment and said, "Put him back. Get someone to keep a close eye on him and record down all the people he interacts with." Zhou Fu was still a little worried about this arrangement, mainly because he was worried about the Elysium's spies. It was okay to let them kill people, but to do such a detailed job like surveillance, it was better to forget about it. Also, find 2 constables and let them keep a close eye on Shir fellow. Jean Peng's face was full of confusion. Constables? Why were there constables? Speaking of which, how did he come into contact with that kind of person? Zhou Fu nodded at Huang Feng, indicating for him to explain. Huang Feng picked up the list beside him and handed it to Jean Peng, saying, "These are the spies from the Shangguan family at the East Pier. There are a total of 36 constables." This, looking at the list in front of him, Jean Peng revealed a panicked expression. Was this something he could look at? Was it real or fake? If it was real, then wouldn't he die after looking at it? "Shopkeeper Jean, take it." Huang Feng smiled wickedly and even stretched out his hand to give it to Jean Peng. The Golden Rock tried his best to smile and took it. "Look at it here. The list can't leave this door. After you go back, you can't reveal anything about the list." "Yes." Jean Peng responded and then lowered his head to look at the list. Taking advantage of the time when Jean Peng was taking down the list, Zhou Fu looked at Huang Feng and asked, "From that dead beggar to this shopkeeper, sure, it seems that the people in the dark are already targeting your two families. Tell me about the current situation." "Sigh, I'll go first." Chen Guhong sighed, and a worried expression appeared on his face. "After I went back yesterday, my family came to find me and told me about the situation in the past few days. Today, the business of the Chen family's shop has declined seriously. It's getting worse day by day. Yesterday's revenue was even less than half of what it was half a month ago. The main business of the Chen family's medicine shop is dependent on the workers and their families at the docks." Now, sigh, after Chen Guhong finished speaking, Huang Feng also said, "After I went back, the old man called me over. My family's situation is worse than the Chen family's. At least the Chen family's shop is fine. Huang Jia's 2 grain shops and a restaurant are all in trouble." After the two of them finished speaking, the room became quiet. Zhou Fu frowned and stretched out his hand to rub his forehead. At the same time, a violent emotion emerged in his heart. Even the coldness between his eyebrows began to recede. Although he knew that his body was strange, it was an emotional problem. Even if he understood it, he would still bring his emotions into his actions. Just like now. Not only did Zhou Fu want to kill the man in black and the people behind him, but he also wanted to kill all the people at the dock. So this is the aftereffect of the Devil Path's cultivation method. Back when Zhou Fu had been cultivating, the effects of the demonic whale-killing fist had been slow. It had started from nothing and changed Zhou Fu bit by bit. But now it was different. Firstly, his cultivation level of the magical whale-killing fist was high. Secondly, his negative emotions had been suppressed in an instant. Now that they were quickly recovering, Zhou Fu could naturally feel the difference. "It's a little difficult," Zhou Fu couldn't help but say. Huang Feng and Chen Guhong, who were sitting below, looked up in shock. Even Jean Peng, who was reciting books, stopped and looked at Zhou Fu. In the hearts of the three of them, Zhou Fu was almost omnipotent. But now this omnipotent person had actually said the word difficult. How could they not be shocked? The room was silent for a while. Then, the younger Huang Feng said, "Sir, if you feel that it's difficult, why don't we take a step back and settle the business first? Let's solve the Jean family's problem first and control the Jean family's resources. Then we can talk about other things." After Huang Feng finished speaking, the three of them looked at Zhou Fu. Zhou Fu was a little confused. He asked doubtfully, "What do you mean by taking a step back?" "The Jean family's matter has been settled. Let the group of constables have a try. Do you have any questions about this?" The familiar voice sounded. Although it contained dissatisfaction, the three of them felt relieved. "I wouldn't dare. Just now, when I saw that you were very upset, I thought that the person behind the scenes was scheming to upset you. That's why I said that. Please forgive me for making wild guesses." Zhou Fu was stunned at first. Then, he immediately understood what Huang Feng meant. It turned out that he had unconsciously said what he was thinking. He smiled faintly and said, "The person behind the scenes' little tricks can't be brought to light. That's not what I'm upset about." Chapter 160. After Jean Peng recorded the names of the constables on the list and returned it, Zhou Fu looked at the three of them and said, "The three of you have to meet these constables and get to know each other. Also, when we ask them to do things, we have to be generous and willing to spend money. This money is not only spent on the constables, but also on the constables under them." Chen Guhong nodded. He agreed with Zhou Fu's words. These constables and constables were also humans. Humans had to eat, and eating required spending money. If they were asked to do things, they naturally had to pay, and they had to pay a lot. However, this a lot depended on the size of the matter. Huang Feng said with some difficulty, "Sir, this subordinate has a question. We are now facing financial difficulties. If we give too much, we won't have a good time. Why don't we not give now, or give less and make up for it later? Zhou Fu shook his head. There's no need for that. Although we don't have much money now, it's enough for a while. Don't worry about money. You have to know that wool comes from the sheep. Zhou Fu stood up with a faint smile and held the list in his hand. In our eyes, the big and small forces on the East Pier are all fat sheep. Now, we have these people in our hands. He held the list in his right hand and gently patted the palm of his left hand. It can be said that we are like a tiger that has grown wings. These little fat sheep are all dishes waiting for me to eat. Zhou Fu's eyes swept across Huang Feng and the other two. However, even with these people, you can't let your guard down. The constables will investigate the constables, and you will also investigate yourselves. Within 10 days, I want to know who the forces behind the East Pier are and where they are. He gave the order in a gentle tone. Huang Feng and the other two stood up and accepted the order. This subordinate will not disappoint, sir. Go, I will wait here for your good news. Yes, we will take our leave. After the three of them left, Zhou Fu did not go to rest. Instead, he washed up and went to the training room. He sat down cross-legged on a cushion in the middle of the room. In the darkness, Zhou Fu murmured, 10 days, I have to speed up my progress. In the void before his eyes, an icy blue attribute panel appeared. As he scanned through the introductions, he realized that the Wisdom King scripture that he had been cultivating was only at the 4th level. The Spring Breeze and Rain Body Nourishing Art that he obtained later was already at the 5th level, which was on par with the Bronze Armor Art and the Iron Bone Secret Scroll. The Dragon Embracing Stance should be a handicap chapter from the Body Refining Hall's Dragon Subduing True Art. The level of this demonic whale killing fist can't be higher than the Wisdom King scripture. It has to be at least 2 levels lower, or even more. Zhou Fu read while calculating his own cultivation path. I have to raise the Essence Qi wheel to the 5th level, then I can put it aside. The 3 wheels Origin Transformation Divine Art still has one last cycle. I shouldn't go to Zhao Wanshan's place. Wait until I stabilize the Eastern Pier, then I will send people to find Bailang's whereabouts. He should have even if he doesn't, he should know the whereabouts of the elder that escaped. And in the future, I will first cultivate the Wisdom King scripture, then the body refining technique, then the movement technique, and finally the demonic whale killing fist. Now that I have Firefly, the power of this fist technique has increased. I can continue to observe. Zhou Fu quickly calculated in his mind. It took him a full half an hour to sort out and plan his own cultivation path. There was no other way. The demonic whale killing fist was just too good. It had high bonuses in all aspects, especially in attack. There were still many strange aspects that he had not discovered, but it was enough to deal with people below the second blood transformation realm. Although the scripture of the Wise King had a lot of bonuses, it was too weak in terms of attack. Zhou Fu used it as a passive skill. Even his previous insights were used to strengthen other technique. He did not explore the potential of this technique. It's a bit of a waste. Zhou Fu sighed, but his expression immediately changed. This is all Xinggang and Shilong's fault. Xinggang was part of the Xing family, and the giant whale was part of the Xing family's property. He could not touch Xinggang in a short period of time, and Shilong was now one of their own. If he made a move, Xing Feng would lose face. After thinking about it, he suddenly realized that he had nowhere to vent the anger in his heart. No. How could he just let it go after tormenting himself like this? Let me think. Shilong's revenge was from the martial arts competition. It was still a long time ago. As for Xinggang, I can't touch him, but I can splash dirty water on him. Who asked him to be the leader of the giant whale? There was a good saying, trouble comes from all directions even when you're at home. Since Xinggang wanted to make trouble for him, he even gave him the demonic whale killing fist out of the kindness of his heart. Not only that, He even changed the name to something like Tyrant Whale Fist. It was used to hide the viciousness of this technique. In his mind, Zhou Fu was thinking about how he could slander him and get some benefits for himself. East Pier. Elysium. Gambling house, clap. A light flashed. Zhou Fu clapped his hands excitedly. I got it. Gambling house, gambling house. Didn't the giant whale like gambling houses? That's fine. Then I'll turn all the gambling houses on the East Pier into giant whales. Hee. To be able to open a gambling house on the pier where crooks mixed in with the honest folk, none of them were ordinary people. Even though they weren't a match for Xingang, if there were many of them, it would be enough for Xingang to suffer. Even though if this was done, Zhou Fu would definitely be the first to be affected. But now that he had a large number of spies in his hands, and the government's investigation agency also had his own people, he was confident that he could withstand these attacks. Xingang. Zhou Fu was very happy. Are you ready to receive my big gift? After enjoying himself for a while, Zhou Fu slowly exhaled, and a dim light flashed in his eyes. Flying Deity, upgrade Wisdom King Scripture. Ding. Wisdom King Scripture has been successfully upgraded. Following the notification, Zhou Fu's cross-legged body suddenly shook. The first thing to change was the Buddha's shadow in his mind. Rays of faint golden light were emitted from the Buddha's shadow. 12 golden lines swam, slowly outlining the Buddha's face. This was Zhou Fu's own face. When the face was completely clear, the 12 golden lines converged between the Buddha's eyebrows, and golden light shone brightly. Boom! It was as if thunder had exploded. The Buddha's shadow opened its eyes. A grand, imposing, and arrogant aura was emitted. Amidst the golden light, the Buddha's shadow stood in the void. It lowered its head and looked at the void beneath its feet. There was a pool of blood-red water, and outside the pool, there was a black fog. These were the demonic thoughts and killing intent of the demonic whale-killing fist. The Buddha's shadow opened its mouth, and endless golden light shone. It raised its hand and grabbed downwards. Chapter 161. Boom! The blood sea trembled. The black mist also surged violently, turning into black ribbons that wrapped around the blood sea. Bang! Whoosh! The ribbon-like black mist instantly shattered and exploded into pieces of black cloth. Moo! Rings of faint golden light radiated from the Buddha's shadow, and the surrounding space began to vibrate. On the blood-colored surface, blood-colored light spots jumped out one after another. There were more and more of them, and in the blink of an eye, the entire blood sea was boiling. The golden hand plunged into the blood sea. Ah! In an instant, the golden light shone and filled Zhou Fu's sea of consciousness. Even his physical body had a faint golden light. The golden arm slowly raised, and the blood sea quickly shrank and condensed between the golden palms. The black demonic spirit that had just been shattered did not want to give up. There was a shrill laughter, and the black demonic spirit's hands grabbed at the Buddha's shadow. Ah! Me! Tuah! 3 sounds were heard. The sea of blood exploded with a bang and then collapsed inwards, turning into a small red dot in an instant. Rays of blood-colored light bloomed on the red. The red dot rose, and the blood-colored light slowly faded. It rose to the forehead of the Buddha's shadow, and all the blood-colored light was withdrawn. Whoosh! The red dot covered the forehead of the Buddha's shadow, like a blood-colored gem. Phew! Zhou Fu opened his mouth and breathed out a long sigh. He was observing everything in his spiritual ocean with fear and trepidation. When the blood-colored light spot was branded on the forehead of the Buddha's shadow, Zhou Fu's body quickly responded. The forehead of his physical body was like a water source, and streams of cool air flowed out. Cheeks, chin, neck, chest, all the way to the soles of his feet, it washed over his entire body. A relaxed and comfortable feeling emerged in his mind. Comfortable. His body and mind felt extremely relaxed, as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. Roar! When the demonic spirit in Zhou Fu's sea of consciousness saw the blood sea disappear, it was completely enraged. Those black palms grew sharp nails like swords. Clang! Clang! The sharp claws hit the Buddha's body, and there was an ear-piercing sound of metal scraping against metal. Zhou Fu's body was covered in goosebumps, and he even trembled slightly. The Buddha, who was in the middle of the sharp blades, ignored these things. He stretched out his right palm and shouted, "Come!" Squeak! The sound of cicadas rang out. "Come!" Squeak! Squeak! Cool streams flowed into Zhou Fu's heart. Squeak! Layers of flames rose, isolating the streams outside. Zhou Fu was dumbfounded by what had happened. What kind of F***king monsters were they? What exactly did the scripture of the wise king give birth to? At this moment, a wave of anger rose in Zhou Fu's heart. It was as if something had gone against his will. He was furious. "Bastard, you're courting death." Zhou Fu and the Buddha spoke at the same time. The Buddha's shadow's outstretched palm turned downwards and turned into a claw, pressing down on the void. Rays of golden light blossomed and turned into golden threads. Crash! It seemed to be the sound of metal chains. Squeak! The sound of cicadas was filled with anger and fear. Zhou Fu could sense that several golden chains had trapped the heart-refining parasite in his heart and were pulling it towards his glabella. Roar! When the demonic consciousness in his sea of consciousness saw that the Buddha shadow was ignoring it, it was instantly enraged. The black fog trembled and condensed into a huge whale. That terrifying figure almost filled up the top of his sea of consciousness. This time, the Buddha's shadow raised its head and endless pressure surged towards the sky. Roar! The demonic whale flipped over and raised its boundless tail, smashing it towards the Buddha's shadow. The Buddha's shadow formed a seal with one hand and lifted it up. The surrounding golden light gathered and turned into a faint golden umbrella. Boom! The huge tail smashed down. Layers of angry waves rose in Zhou Fu's sea of consciousness. A boundless pain swept through Zhou Fu's nerves. It was as if he had fallen into a blender, or there was a blender running crazily in his head. At this moment, he felt as if he was going crazy. The blood on his face faded, and it was as white as snow. Beads of sweat also appeared on his forehead. Blood was also flowing out from his nostrils. "Tsk!" he cursed. In his sea of consciousness, the Buddha's shadow was holding up the sky with one hand. That faint golden umbrella was motionless. When the demonic whale saw that its attack was ineffective, it instantly went berserk. Huge tail smashing. Its frenzied attack was like waves crashing onto the Buddha's shadow. However, that faint golden umbrella was like a wall of regret. It was so sturdy that it made the demonic whale despair. Swoosh! The golden chains tightened and wrapped around the heart-refining parasite, bringing it to the Buddha's shadow. Squeak! The cicadas sounded like they were trying to please the Buddha's shadow. The Buddha's shadow stared at the heart-refining parasite and reached out his hand again. The golden chains returned to the Buddha's shadow's hand. Squeak! The clear chirping of cicadas sounded again. The heart-refining goo insect flew around the Buddha's shadow and landed on its left shoulder. Boom! Huge flames rose around the Buddha's shadow, burning the surrounding darkness and the demonic whale in the sky. Roar! The demonic whale panicked. Its roar had changed. It was no longer as frenzied and domineering as before. The Buddha's shadow reached out his right hand. A long sword appeared in the air and fell into his hand. He reached out his left hand. The golden lines in the Buddha's shadow flowed and turned into a chain that hung on his hand. The Buddha's shadow stared at the demonic whale. His eyebrows were lowered and raised, and his eyes were filled with anger. He opened his mouth, revealing his teeth. He gritted his teeth, revealing 2 canine teeth on both sides of his mouth. One of his teeth was up and the other was down. He was furious. Ah! The roar shook the sky. Boundless light shone from the Buddha's face. The sharp sword in his right hand pierced through the air. The chain on his left hand also wrapped around the demonic whale. Boom! Even the flames around the Buddha's shadow rose to the sky and crashed into the demonic whale. Several attacks landed on the demonic whale. Roar! The huge beast cried out. With a bang, it exploded into boundless black fog. Swoosh! The golden chains danced wildly in the air. They gathered all the black fog together and locked it up. Then, they flew into the Buddha's shadow's left hand. That radiating light also returned to the Buddha's mouth. That's it. The battle was too fast. Zhou Fu was stunned for a moment. He looked at the Buddha's shadow. This thing felt very familiar to him, but he was also very wary of it. He couldn't help it. This thing's series of changes were too unexpected. Not only did it subdue the heart-refining goo that had been dormant for a long time, but it also defeated the demonic whale-killing fist. Suddenly, Zhou Fu felt the surrounding scenery change. This feeling only lasted for a moment before he woke up. He felt that he had a body in his sea of consciousness. He was holding a sword in his right hand and a chain in his left hand. It was the Buddha's shadow itself. The Buddha's shadow is me? Zhou Fu was dumbfounded. Boom! The scene in front of him shattered. He also woke up from that wonderful feeling and looked at his sea of consciousness again. What exactly is this thing? The Buddha's shadow shook the chain in his left hand. Streaks of golden lightning flashed. Crackle! The chain loosened. The black fog inside gathered into a ball. It surged and then wrapped around the Buddha's shadow. Oh no! Zhou Fu screamed. Before he could do anything, the black fog dissipated. The Buddha's shadow's body turned greenish-black. He held a sword in his right hand and a golden chain in his left hand. A flaming lotus platform appeared and the Buddha's shadow sat cross-legged on it. Streaks of flames appeared and connected with each other. They turned into a flaming disk that quietly floated behind the Buddha's shadow. Chapter 162. The moment the Buddha's shadow sat upright, Zhou Fu's body seemed to be standing under a waterfall. A large amount of golden light was like water flowing down from the waterfall, hitting Zhou Fu's entire body. Intense pain came from all over his body. However, what made Zhou Fu uncomfortable was that every time the pain swept over him, the cool feeling between his eyebrows kept him in a very clear-headed state. In other words, he could clearly feel the pain every second, tormenting him to the point of wanting to die. This state lasted for half an hour before the pain disappeared. In the darkness, Zhou Fu was like a night light emitting a soft golden light. Then, the light slowly disappeared. Zhou Fu lit up the light and carefully observed his entire body. After this upgrade, his body had shrunk by one size. Even his originally well-defined muscles had become rounder. However, he could clearly feel that his entire body had been strengthened once. He called out the auxiliary interface and looked at it. Wisdom King Scripture. Level 5, Akala Dharma, Akala Physique, Buddhism, Exorcism. Such a big change? Speaking of which, what are all these? Zhou Fu was stunned. The various bonuses from before had all disappeared, and the attribute interface had become simpler. Although he still did not understand the specific situation of these three attributes, he knew that this upgrade was definitely a qualitative leap. Just as Zhou Fu was feeling happy, his arms suddenly lit up with a green light. It was like a tender grass that had sprouted out of the ground in spring, emitting the light of a plant's birth, tender green. It was like a tender shoot of grass that was slowly growing out of the ground, facing the wind. At first, Zhou Fu was shocked by this strange phenomenon. Then, he thought of his little teacher, Shang Yuan. The other party's power was green. His thoughts turned quickly, and he thought of Shang Yuan patting his arm when the two of them parted. He understood that this was a gift from Shang Yuan. At this time, Zhou Fu was not surprised. Instead, he smiled bitterly and said, "I hope this thing is not something that strengthens me. Otherwise, I'll be in big trouble." Although Zhou Fu's body had been greatly strengthened after the violent baptism of the Wisdom King Scripture, his muscles, meridians, and bones had also been greatly pressured. What he needed now was not strengthening, but slowly nurturing. Through time, the strengthening this time would transform into true strength. In the blink of an eye, the grass had grown, and the tender green color had turned into an emerald green. The leaves swayed in the air. Although it looked a little strange, it also had a kind of beauty. However, Zhou Fu did not dare to move. After a while, Xiao Qiao stopped growing. Suddenly, it floated out of Zhou Fu's arm like a dandelion and stood in the void. Zhou Fu was dumbfounded. He had never heard of such a situation, let alone seen it. "Little teacher, you really think too highly of me. I really don't understand this stuff." Xiao Qiao shook a few times and suddenly shattered into green light spots. These light spots rotated and condensed, turning into small green words. There were about 100 words, and it was a cultivation technique. Zhou Fu's heart tightened, and he quickly focused his attention to look. He memorized these small words. 5 minutes later, these small words turned into light spots again, and slammed into Zhou Fu's forehead. The light spots were very fast. When Zhou Fu reacted and raised his hand to block them, the light spots had all disappeared from his forehead. A simple message appeared in Zhou Fu's consciousness. It was a detailed explanation of the cultivation technique just now. Through the explanation, Zhou Fu knew the use of this cultivation technique. It was very simple. Consolidate one's foundation, cultivate one's vitality, and strengthen one's body. Zhou Fu was a little puzzled as to why Shang Yuan would give him this cultivation technique. It did not even have a name. However, when he thought of the situation when he imparted the technique, he knew that this cultivation technique should be very powerful. He stood where he was and sorted out the information in his mind twice. Then, he bowed in the direction Shang Yuan left. "Student Zhou Fu, thank you teacher for imparting the technique." After bowing, Zhou Fu suppressed his eagerness and whispered to himself, "Let's call it a night. It's not good to improve too quickly." Thus, Zhou Fu walked into the bathroom and washed up. He went back to his room and slept. In the next 3 days, Zhou Fu did not improve his strength. Instead, he focused on digesting the changes in the scripture of the wise king. He did not even try to understand the cultivation technique that Shang Yuan imparted to him. He even knew that he should not bite off more than he could chew. "I understand the Dharma, but this unmovable body of the wise king, how do I develop it? Do I have to charge around like before?" Zhou Fu lay on the chair. His usual clothes seemed a little loose on him. He stretched out his hand. With a thought, a flame appeared in the air above his palm. The flame was not big. It was about the size of his fist. With a flick of his hand, the flame was extinguished. "Is this thing really useful?" Zhou Fu did not know whether to laugh or cry. After playing with it for a while, Zhou Fu still could not get the gist of it. He could only give up for now. His mind sank into his sea of consciousness and attached itself to the unmovable body of the wise king, feeling the changes in his body. This effect of the Dharma was discovered by Zhou Fu by accident. After his consciousness attached itself to the Dharma, his soul seemed to have become ethereal. He could feel many changes in his body. Even his understanding of martial arts had improved by a lot. At this moment, the sound of footsteps could be heard. Jin Peng, Huang Feng, and Chen Guhong walked over. "Greetings, my lord." After the 3 of them bowed, they looked up and were stunned. "My lord!" Zhou Fu's change was too great. Not only the 3 of them, but even Zhou Fu's personal maid Yuzhu was shocked. With tears in her eyes, she found a bunch of doctors, but they were all sent away by Zhou Fu. Now, this little maid was immersed in making clothes. "It's nothing. I just had a breakthrough," Zhou Fu said slowly. His mind was pulled away from the Dharma. His eyes were half closed. A golden light flashed in the depths of his eyes. The 3 people who were observing Zhou Fu were suddenly shocked. It was as if a powerful existence was standing in front of them. Thump! The 3 people's knees went weak, and they knelt in front of Zhou Fu. "You guys are..." Zhou Fu was a little confused. He did not know if these 3 people were crazy. The three kneeling people slowly got up and looked at each other. They saw confusion and panic on each other's faces. My lord, we don't know what's wrong. That feeling just now is hard to describe. Chen Guhong frowned, recalling the feeling just now. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could not recall that feeling. Zhou Fu understood. Just now, his mind was not completely pulled away from the Dharma. Now that the Dharma was sitting in his sea of consciousness and Zhou Fu's mind had returned, the three of them returned to normal. Could it be that the Dharma also has pressure? I have to remember this and study it slowly. Chapter 163. Jean Peng took out a small package and said, Sir, this is a reward from the headquarters. Last time, you broke into the Red Sea Gang's encampment and brought honor to the giant whale. The gang leader gave you 10 blood yang pills. As he spoke, he placed the package in front of Zhou Fu. Yesterday, a messenger from the headquarters came and I told him that you were in seclusion. Therefore, the messenger left the package in the Elysium. The whale gang's reward was a small matter in Zhou Fu's eyes. He didn't need to pay too much attention to it. Even though Xingfeng had said that the blood yang pill was a good thing, money was Zhou Fu's biggest weakness right now. He asked, Why did the three of you come here today? Sir, Jean Peng said, in the past 3 days, the three of us secretly met with the 36 constables on the list and made arrangements according to your instructions. We arranged for 2 constables and 20 constables to keep an eye on the Jean family. As for caretaker Sher at the docks, a constable led 10 constables to keep an eye on him. At this point, Jean Peng turned to look at Chen Guhong and Huang Feng, then said, The three of us discussed and decided that the constables would be paid 100 taels of silver per month, while the constables would be paid 20 taels of silver per month. Is there such a big difference? Zhou Fu was surprised. The difference between the two was actually 5 times. Sir, Chen Guhong said, the 100 taels we paid to the constables is 10 times their annual income. As for the constables, the three of us originally agreed on 50 taels of silver per month. However, one of the constables found me in private and said that we gave them too much. This would make it difficult for them to manage these people in the future. Therefore, we discussed again and decided on 20 taels of silver per month. Zhou Fu had never been good at grasping the human heart. There were too many twists and turns in it, so he didn't want to waste his time in this aspect. Alright, just do as you see fit. Also, don't forget about the distribution of power at the dock. Sir, this matter has been settled. It's settled? So fast? This time, Zhou Fu was really shocked by the efficiency of the three people. Jean Peng took out a few pieces of paper and handed them to Zhou Fu. The three of us don't dare to claim credit for this. These were all collected by the constables. After hearing Jean Peng's words, Zhou Fu finally reacted. As the eyes of the government, if these constables couldn't even do such a simple thing, then there would really be something wrong. Have you seen all of these? Zhou Fu casually flipped through the list. Yes, all three of us have seen it. Tell me about it. Zhou Fu was too lazy to look at these things, nor did he want to remember them. And if he didn't want to do something, he would naturally leave it to his subordinates. Yes, Chen Guhong said, the small powers at the docks are basically some small merchants and some gangsters. There are a total of 22 of them. They run restaurants, grocery stores, and some small grain stores. The bigger powers are martial arts schools, small gangs, or a few merchants working together. There are a total of 31 of them. Their main business is restaurants, small casinos, restaurants, medicine stores, and so on. My Chen family and Huang Jia are among them. Finally, there are those like the Jin family. Their business covers all aspects of clothing, food, housing, and transportation. There are also human trafficking, large casinos, carriage companies, and so on. There are a total of 12 of them. Sir, the giant whale and the Red Sea Gang are among them. Zhou Fu was a little surprised. He wasn't surprised that the giant whale was among them, but it was a little ridiculous that the Jean family was among them. How can the Jean family be compared to the giant whale? Huang Feng explained, Sir, the Jean family is the leader of the medicine merchants in Ning, an East city. Back then, they had 5 great alchemists in their hand. Zhou Fu was even more puzzled. They rely on the 5 alchemists to survive? Sir, it's not the Jean family that's powerful. It's the combined power of all the medicine merchants in Ning, an city. They also have an existence like the Xing family behind them? Chen Guhong continued to explain, No, there aren't many existences like the giant whale and the Red Sea gang. Let's put it this way. The giant whale doesn't care about the Jean family's business. So that's how it is. Zhou Fu finally understood. The giant whale and the Red Sea gang were equivalent to elephant. The Jean family's business was like a pig with a bigger physique. They put green onions in their noses and put them here to pretend to be an elephant. Sir, what are we going to do next? Zhou Fu muttered to himself. His financial situation was really bad now. With the expenses of these constables, he estimated that he would be hard-pressed to make ends meet in another month. I'll give you guys 10 days to find out the true situation of the 5 small powers and the Jean family. Alright, tell Duan Cheng to stop squatting outside the city and bring them back first. After hearing Zhou Fu's order, Chen Guhong and the other 2 looked at each other. They instantly had an idea. Yes. Do you guys have anything else to do? After hearing Zhou Fu's meaning, the 3 of them left Zhou Fu's courtyard. Sigh. Time waits for no man. Zhou Fu sighed. When will I be able to practice martial arts in peace? Thinking back to his cultivation journey, it seemed like he had been rushing to catch up. There were many things that he hadn't had time to settle down, and he had been relying on an auxiliary technique to support him. This was especially true after he had obtained the firefly technique. This was the first time Zhou Fu had encountered a technique that an auxiliary technique couldn't recognize. This made him even more determined to comprehend the Tao on his own. However, this kind of thinking had always been an extravagant hope. Forget it, I'll settle the matter at hand first. Then, I'll train those who are in the 3rd stage of the bone forging stage. I should be able to free up some time after that. Zhou Fu thought so. He stood up, walked to the training room, and put down the cover. Sunlight shone through the courtyard on the 2nd floor, making the room in the daytime feel like it was dusk. Auxiliary! Zhou Fu called out in his heart. The auxiliary interface appeared in the void in front of him. At this time, his condition had already been restored to full, but he was still mentally exhausted. However, this wasn't important now. He wanted to increase his strength. Zhou Fu understood that his strength was directly linked to money. If he could reach the blood-changing stage now, he could immediately bring people to flatten the so-called large powers. At that time, would there still be a shortage of money? Flying immortal, give me. Zhou Fu hesitated for a moment. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Level up the Wisdom King Scripture! Ding! Wisdom King Scripture level up successful. Whoosh! Golden light flowed down from the top of Zhou Fu's head like flowing water. In the blink of an eye, his entire body was wrapped in golden light. The Akalanatha Dharma in his sea of consciousness stood up. The lotus platform beneath him dissipated, and the fire ring behind his head shone brightly. He raised his right hand high, and rays of golden light flowed towards the sword. Lin! An angry roar sounded. The Akalanatha Dharma slashed down with his sword. Zhou Fu suddenly opened his eyes. At this time, golden light occupied his eyes. His entire body was like a golden statue. He felt that his mind was impregnable. A ball of scorching energy burst forth in his body, roasting his muscles and bones. Chapter 164. Half an hour later, Zhou Fu sat on the ground, exhausted. His face was a little pale. The flame in his body almost melted him. But the benefits were also very obvious. His body was strengthened again. In addition, he learned a breathing technique from the immovable wisdom King Dharma. By breathing at a special frequency, his mind could quickly calm down and resist a certain degree of pain. It was extraordinary. Huff huff, Zhou Fu slowly closed his eyes, opened and closed his mouth and nose, and breathed according to the breathing technique he just learned. The blood in his body also moved with his breathing, slowly recovering from the discomfort in his body. After another half an hour, Zhou Fu opened his eyes and said to himself, "This Wisdom King scripture is really extraordinary. Even a Dharma has such a magical breathing technique." Then, he thought of the abandoned Guiyun temple. Just as he was about to fall into his memories, he quickly shook his head and dispelled the images in his mind. "The most important thing now is to improve my strength. The martial arts that I plan to improve are bronze armor and iron bone secret scroll." Calling out the attribute interface, Zhou Fu found that only the level of the Wisdom King scripture had changed. From level 5 to level 6, nothing else had changed. "Strange, my strength has increased a lot, why didn't it change? Is it because the change this time is too small and the support doesn't want to show it?" After thinking for a long time, Zhou Fu could only think of this reason. "Forget it, there will be changes in the future. Let me try the blood yang pill first." He took out a small wooden box from the package that Jin Ping brought. The giant whale used a wooden box to store pills. Opening the box, 10 small white jade boxes were placed in it. "Ah! The pills have been upgraded, even the packaging is different." These things in front of him looked very expensive. Compared to the previous pills, one was wholesale mixed packaging, and the other was a gift box. He took out a jade box and opened it. A fragrant smell came to his face. Zhou Fu felt his whole body shake and suddenly felt refreshed. Good stuff. The blood yang pill was not wrapped in wax but placed directly in the jade box. Zhou Fu took out a pill and swallowed it. As the elixir entered his stomach, he sat down cross-legged and activated the profound qi wheel. Streams of strange power came out from the bright yang wheel and rolled towards the elixir. Boom! Under the influence of the yang ming wheel, the medicinal properties of the elixir burst out, turning into surging spiritual essence that surged towards the yang ming wheel. Zhou Fu's mind was greatly shaken, and he was secretly pleasantly surprised. Good stuff. Good stuff. The yang ming wheel rotated, and the yin fishes in the disc were quickly filled. However, the essence qi of the pill did not seem to have any intention of stopping. The speed at which it emerged was still the same as before. The medicinal properties are so strong? Zhou Fu was taken aback. He estimated that this amount was dozens of times more than the spirit concentration pills. Not only that, the amount of essence qi was still increasing. Once the yin fish in the yang ming wheel were full, they began to rush towards the yang fish. Even so, the essence qi gushing out of the pill began to spread into his body. Seeing this, Zhou Fu frowned and quickly made a decision. Improve essence wheel. Ding. Essence wheel has successfully leveled up. Essence wheel. Level 6, strengthened absorption level 6, special effect, S-Qi and blood conversion enhancement. The yang ming wheel vibrated, and the disc began to grow bigger. The yin-yang fish on it also began to grow bigger. The dissipating essence qi was once again swallowed by the yang ming wheel. The lines on the disc also lit up, and it began to extract the essence qi from the yin fish, converting it into qi and blood qi, which then flowed into the yang fish. Zhou Fu carefully observed the situation in his body. Another 10 minutes had passed, and at this time, the yang fish's qi and blood qi were almost full. The blood yang pill's medicinal effects still did not seem to have declined. What the hell, such a strong medicinal effect, how could Xing Gang withstand it? Could it be that the blood transformation realm's physique is so strong? It shouldn't be. While being shocked by the effects of the blood yang pill, Zhou Fu's fear of Xing Gang deepened. One must know that according to Xing Feng, the blood yang pill was a pill that Xing Gang often used. How strong was Xing Gang? What am I thinking about? Focus. Zhou Fu quickly focused his mind. When he saw that the yang fish in the yang ming wheel was filled with qi and blood qi and began to dissipate, he decided to upgrade the essence qi wheel. This time, he did not upgrade it level by level. Seeing how powerful the blood yang pill was, he went crazy and directly upgraded it from the 3rd level to the 6th level, which was the same as the essence qi wheel. Essence qi wheel. Level 6, Strengthened Absorption Level 6, Special Effect. Internal Strength Conversion, Conversion Strengthened. The sea of qi wheel shook violently, and the disc suddenly became bigger. The lines on it also became clearer. The sea of qi wheel rotated, and streams of hot qi and blood were swallowed by it. Because of the qi and blood qi dissipating from the yang ming wheel, the qi and blood in his body began to boil. With the addition of the sea of qi wheel, the boiling was suppressed, reducing the pressure on Zhou Fu's body. The 2 wheels rotated, essence qi turned into blood qi, and blood qi turned into internal strength. The yang ming wheel and the sea of qi wheel complemented each other, and a strange feeling appeared in Zhou Fu's mind. Coordination. At the same time, there was a feeling of imperfection. Zhou Fu understood that the coordination was because the 2 wheels came from the same source. The imperfection was because this skill was missing a link. It's a little uncomfortable. Zhou Fu sighed. At this time, another 20 minutes had passed, and the effect of the blood yang pill began to weaken. Another 15 minutes passed, and the effect of the blood yang pill disappeared. Blood yang pill, Zhou Fu stood up. At this time, the yang ming wheel and the sea of qi wheel in his body were full, and even the inner strength in his meridians were full. In the past, Zhou Fu would keep the inner strength in his dharma power, but his dharma power was full. At the same time, there was a faint pain in his body. This was because the impact of the essence qi, blood qi, and inner strength caused some damage to his body. Oh right, the skill that little teacher taught me can consolidate the foundation and strengthen the body, right? I can try it now. This skill was similar to Firefly. It was a skill. There was no need to sit cross-legged. Instead, when standing, the full effect could be exerted. Zhou Fu spread his feet apart and stood in a pole-standing position. This technique was to activate one's inner strength. The inner strength of the bone-forging realm was in the form of clouds and mist. Because Zhou Fu's inner strength was converted too quickly, his meridians were in the state of the training realm, and he did not have time to convert it. Zhou Fu slightly closed his eyes and put his mind on the Dharma power. His whole body instantly calmed down. He slowly urged the skill, and suddenly, a light golden mist floated out of his meridians. The light golden mist that floated out rotated in his body and absorbed the other light golden mist. The mist became more and more, and turned into a stream of water. Suddenly, the water boiled, and at the same time, it rushed along his spine to the top of his head, and then washed down. The severe pain almost made Zhou Fu's mind leave the Dharma power. Chapter 165. From the Baihui acupoint on the top of his head to the Yongquan acupoint on the soles of his feet. The water flow, that was condensed due to the strange technique, violently washed through his bones and muscles. If the Wisdom King scripture was like a small waterfall washing, then this technique was like a high-pressure water gun. Zhou Fu had a feeling that his muscles and bones were about to be washed away. After the water flow reached the soles of his feet, it stopped for a while as if it was accumulating energy. When the energy was fully accumulated, it began to spiral upwards and once again followed the spine to the Baihui acupoint. Again. Zhou Fu's voice had a hint of panic. Splash! This time, even the Akala Dharma idol was trembling slightly. It was not the Dharma idol that was in pain, but Zhou Fu's spirit was trembling. Why can't I stop this technique? After 2 times, Zhou Fu wanted to stop the technique. Even if he was injured, he would accept it. But the reality was extremely cruel. He realized that this technique had actually gone out of control. Splash! Ah! He kept screaming in the Akala Dharma idol. It was too painful. After 3 times, the speed of the water flow slowed down. Is it going to stop? Zhou Fu let out a sigh of relief and quickly checked his body. This check gave him a fright. No. Where did my inner strength go? My meridians were still full just now. Zhou Fu's spirit scanned his body and found that the inner strength in his meridians had all disappeared. He immediately realized that something was wrong. The inner strength had all been swallowed by the water flow. Splash! The intense pain caused Zhou Fu's spirit to pop out of the Dharma idol. He suddenly opened his eyes and mouth. The intense pain caused him to lose his voice. What kind of technique is this? Before Zhou Fu could continue complaining, Zhou Fu's meridians were in intense pain, as if someone was pulling out his tendons. Zhou Fu's mind raced as he thought of his empty meridians. He endured the pain and operated the Sea of Qi wheel, releasing all the inner strength in the Sea of Qi wheel yang fish. As the inner strength flowed out, the cramping pain began to subside as he expected. After this, the bright yang wheel and the Sea of Qi wheel were empty. When the water flow rose again, Zhou Fu gritted his teeth and took out a blood yang pill. He raised his head and swallowed it. Come on! Zhou Fu steeled his heart and sank his mind into his sea of consciousness, drilling into the Akalanatha Dharma idol. Walla! Ah! Walla! After the 10th time, Zhou Fu swallowed the blood yang pill again. The 15th time it was another one. After the 18th time, the water flow did not rise again and slowly dissipated. Plop! Zhou Fu fell straight to the ground, his clothes soaked in sweat and his skin making loud slapping sounds. He didn't want to move now. Only the bright yang wheel and the Sea of Qi wheel were left in his body, slowly rotating. After resting for a long time, Zhou Fu got up from the ground. He felt the situation in his body. Not to mention the mist of inner strength, there wasn't even a trace of inner strength in his meridians. After the rest just now, the 4th blood yang pill that Zhou Fu took today was also swallowed up by the profound Qi wheel. Even so, it only filled up half of the yin fish in the bright yang wheel. The worst was the Sea of Qi wheel, both fish were empty. I thought the blood yang pill was strong enough. I didn't expect the skill that little teacher gave me to be even more terrifying. What kind of skill is this? Zhou Fu smiled bitterly. After the 18th time, he used up nearly 4 blood yang pills. If it was converted into spirit concentration pills, Zhou Fu suspected that he would be full. Since the consumption is so high, the effect should be very powerful, right? Zhou Fu guessed. When he activated the profound Qi wheel, he felt a slight soreness. Zhou Fu had no choice but to let the profound Qi wheel operate on its own and stop interfering. Forget it, I'll clean myself up first. At this time, his body was sticky and there was a sour smell. It was extremely uncomfortable. At night, Zhou Fu finally recovered a bit of his inner strength cloud. He quickly began to check his body to see if there were any changes. The biggest change was in his bones. Streaks of faint golden light flickered on it. The inner strength cloud floated and smoothly drilled into the bones of his arm. Is this the bone-forging first realm perfection? Zhou Fu was pleasantly surprised. When he first broke through to the bone-forging first realm, although the inner strength cloud could enter the bones of his limbs, there was a clear feeling of obstruction. Now it was different. Not only could it easily enter, even when it was running, it felt like it was running through his meridians. The cloud continued to float. He wanted to test his torso bones. This was also where the bone-forging second realm needed to be tempered. He didn't know if he didn't try. This test gave Zhou Fu a fright. I'm also at the bone-forging second realm perfection? There was no other reason. The inner strength cloud also flowed freely in his torso bones, just like the bones of his limbs. At this time, Zhou Fu had a bold idea. He controlled the cloud to move towards the last part of the bone-forging realm, the skull. Crazy! Zhou Fu's eyes widened. It was still unimpeded. Bone-forging large success. That's not right. Zhou Fu suddenly sobered up. The bone-forging realm requires the use of inner strength to temper the bones, making them stronger. At the same time, it allows the bones to form a connection with the inner strength, promoting the changes in the blood. But I don't have any inner strength. Zhou Fu revealed a strange expression. If this is the case, can I still be considered to have reached the bone-forging large success? If not, then what realm am I in? That's not right. I should still be in the bone-forging first realm, but to reach the bone-forging third realm shouldn't be a problem for me. As long as my inner strength keeps up, I can quickly reach the bone-forging third realm. That must be it. After thinking it through, Zhou Fu fell asleep in a happy mood. The next day. This is all fake. Zhou Fu blankly sat cross-legged in the practice room. In front of him was an empty box. There were originally 60 spirit concentration pills inside, but now there were none left. 60 spirit concentration pills, even if it's not as good as the blood yang pill, should at least have 80 to 90% of its effect? This morning, Zhou Fu woke up early. After a simple meal, he took the spirit concentration pills and began to cultivate. According to his plan, although these 60 spirit concentration pills wouldn't allow him to break through to the second level of the bone-forging realm, it would at least restore his original cultivation. But who knew, my body has become an abyss. These 60 spirit concentration pills didn't restore my cultivation? Zhou Fu revealed an expression of disbelief. He swept open the empty box and took out the blood yang pill. A pill was swallowed into his abdomen. After half an hour, Zhou Fu opened his eyes and stared at the box with 5 more blood yang pills. For a long time, he was speechless. Even the blood yang pill can't fill the bones in my limbs. At this moment, Shang Yuan's face appeared in front of his eyes. Zhou Fu said weakly, "Little teacher, the cultivation method you gave me is so expensive." He raised his head and sighed. Then, he got up and went to the lounge chair in the courtyard to stare blankly. He was already tight on money, and now he encountered this cultivation method. It was really a case of when it rains, it pours. Misfortunes never come singly. No, I can't wait for 5 days. I need to get money now. Get big money. Chapter 166. Late at night. Jin Peng, Huang Feng, and Chen Guhong were called to Zhou Fu's study. Zhou Fu hadn't arrived yet, so the three of them looked at each other in confusion. Jin Peng spoke first. "Gentlemen, I'm usually busy with the Elysium's matters, so the two of you are the ones who are busy with most of the matters arranged by Sir. May I know why Sir called us here so late at night?" "I don't know either," Huang Feng continued, then looked at Chen Guhong. "Don't look at me like that." Chen Guhong looked tired and shook his head. "I've been busy these past 2 days investigating the strength of those forces. I was called here not long after I laid down." When they realized that the other party didn't know, they changed the topic and chatted in low voices. Huang Feng advised Chen Guhong, "Uncle Chen, you're not young anymore. Isn't it too tiring for you to run around with 2 youngsters like us?" Among the 3 of them, Chen Guhong was the oldest, while Huang Feng and Jin Peng were in their 20s. "You brat. What's wrong? Do you think this old man is a burden?" Chen Guhong laughed in a joking manner. I wouldn't dare. Huang Feng hurriedly apologized. He looked at Chen Guhong's tired expression and said, "Uncle Chen, I'm just worried about you. It's only been a few days, but your complexion looks much better. You have to be careful." Sigh. Chen Guhong sighed at the thought of this. "Of course I want to. If the boys of the Chen family were half as smart as you, I wouldn't be so tired." Hee, Uncle Chen, you're too kind," Huang Feng chuckled embarrassedly. "If you're worried about the brothers of the Chen family, you don't have to worry about them. Shopkeeper Jin and I are here. How could we bully them?" After speaking, Huang Feng looked at Jin Peng. Jin Peng, who was watching the 2 of them chatting, was stunned. He felt a little strange in his heart. How did this involve me? Jin Peng smiled and said, "Of course. Don't worry, Uncle Chen. He was a little unhappy. He was the shopkeeper of the giant whale's Elysium, and today, he suddenly had an uncle. This fatty Huang is a little annoying. Jean Ping thought in his heart, but the smile on his face was still there. Ha 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 ha, Chen Guhong laughed and patted Huang Feng's arm in relief. Then, he nodded at Jean Ping to express his gratitude. I'm very happy to have the two of you today. All right, I'll have to trouble the two of you to take care of the Chen family in the future. Yo, Zhou Fu walked in. What are the three of you talking about? You look so happy. The three of them hurriedly bowed to Zhou Fu and said, Greetings, sir. Tell me, what are the three of you talking about? Chen Guhong said, Nephew Huang saw that I was tired, so he wanted to let the young boys of the Chen family do some work. This way, an old man like me can rest. That's true. Zhou Fu looked at Chen Guhong and said, You, old Chen, do look a little weak. Letting the young people of the family do some work will make your life much easier. After saying that, Zhou Fu quickly said, All right, let's not talk about flowers. I called you here today because there's an urgent matter. In the past 2 days, you should have found out about a few forces, right? Yes, my Chen family investigated a total of 3 forces. My Huang Jia is short on manpower, so I only investigated 2 forces. Jean Ping hesitated and said, Sir, the Elysium has to take care of business, and at the same time, deal with the new venue. Therefore, I investigated 1 force and asked a constable to take care of it. Zhou Fu didn't think much about the efficiency of the 3 of them, but when he heard Jean Ping mention the constables, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration and asked, Do those constables still need to investigate? Jean Ping's face showed a helpless expression. Sir, I've asked. The constables said that these are all small shrimp. They don't care about them, so they didn't put them on file. That's true. How could 1 or 2 people who opened a grocery store be targeted by the authorities? Zhou Fu nodded and ordered, You don't have to investigate anymore. Go back and rest today. Prepare your men before dark tomorrow and deal with these 6 forces. You don't have to be too ruthless this time. In the future, these new forces will be under your control. The 3 of them were stunned when they heard that. Didn't he say that he would give them a few days to prepare? Why was he in such a hurry now? Later on, they heard Zhou Fu's words. In the future, these newcomers will be under their control? The 3 of their eyes immediately lit up. We understand. All right, that's all for today. Go and prepare. Huang Jia. When Huang Feng returned home, he went straight to the meeting hall. At this time, the assembly hall of Huang Jia was brightly lit. The elders and the main stewards of Huang Jia were waiting here. Everyone saw Huang Feng come in. Sitting on the main seat was Huang Mingdao, Huang Feng's father and the current head of Huang Jia. Feng what's the matter? Huang Feng stood in the middle of the assembly hall and said, Father, this time Sir has new orders. At this time, it was already past midnight. It was already the next day. Sir ordered us to prepare men today and act at night. Our targets are those forces who have already figured out the situation. Act today. Huang Mingdao was stunned. After hearing Huang Feng's message, the people of Huang Jia also began to whisper. So urgent. Huang Mingdao pondered. After a while, he raised his head and asked, Did Sir explain the reason? No, Huang Feng shook his head. Sir only ordered us to prepare men. Besides, Huang Feng's face showed an excited expression. Sir also said that these forces will be handed over to us, the Huang Jia, the Qin family, and Jean Ping. What? This, low exclamations continued to sound. Even Huang Mingdao and the elders of Huang Jia were stunned. This was a great benefit. Feng did Sir really say that? Huang Feng nodded and smiled. Of course, I don't dare to spread Sir's words. Mingdao, this is the good fortune of our Huang Jia. A great fortune. The elder of Huang Jia was very excited. His white beard and hair trembled. Also, although this is a great fortune, it is also a great crisis. With this sentence, the meeting room of the Huang Jia quickly quieted down. Huang Mingdao suppressed the excitement in his heart and asked, "Elder, please enlighten me." "Yes, I believe everyone here remembers the day when I, Huang Jia, followed Sir." The elder's gaze swept across everyone. "Our Sir is a decisive person who has the intention to kill. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he is the heavenly killing star." The elder's words made everyone's expression change. Sir's decision this time is the foundation of our Huang Jia's rise. You must be cautious, cautious, and cautious. At the same time, keep an eye on your subordinate. If anyone does anything unruly, punish them immediately. Yes. Thank you for your advice, Elder. Huang Mingdao cupped his hands and thanked him. Chapter 167. After being reminded by the clan elder of Huang Jia, all the managers of Huang Jia fell into deep thought. Although the Huang Jia had gone through a great disaster, where the original main branch was completely wiped out, and their business suffered a severe blow, their days were still considered stable. After the young people of the branch were promoted, they passed the cautious period and began to play trick. Of course, the managers knew about these things, but they just turned a blind eye to it. However, today was different. After being reminded by the clan elder, they felt that they had to strictly control their subordinate. Huang Mingdao looked at Huang Feng and asked, "Is there anything else?" "Yes," Huang Feng said in a deep voice. "Today I also found out that the current leader of the Chen family, Chen Guhong, seems to have some problems with his body." "Oh!" Huang Mingdao raised his eyebrows. "Tell me more." "Yes. Recently, Lord Zhou has been taking care of our three families and hasn't rested at all. When I saw Chen Guhong today, I found that he looked very tired. His face was yellowish and his eyes were bloodshot. It was obvious that his body was reaching its limit." Huang Feng continued, "At that time, I suggested that the younger generation of the Chen family replace Chen Guhong to work for the master. This can reduce the pressure on Chen Guhong, and it's beneficial for the cooperation between our families. Although Mr. Zhou only has the three of us as his subordinates, Jin Peng, as the manager of the Elysium, won't be loyal to us. Therefore, the Huang and Chen families are allies." Huang Mingdao and the clan elder of Huang Jia nodded slightly. However, there were always discordant voices. Nephew Huang Feng's actions are slightly inappropriate. Chen Guhong is the only capable person in the Chen family now. If we can exhaust him to death, then our Huang Jia's position under Mr. Zhou's command will also rise. Some of the stewards in the hall also nodded their heads. There were also a few who lowered their eyelids and looked down. They seemed to be listening attentively and did not express any opinion. "Nonsense," Huang Mingdao said in a low voice. "We are now in the same boat as the Chen family. Feng did the right thing this time. You'd better get rid of your petty thoughts." The clan elder on the side also chimed in. "Feng's actions are the right way." Seeing that the two heavyweights had spoken, the steward lowered his head and didn't dare to speak. "That's enough. You can go back now," Huang Mingdao said to drive them away. "Yes, Patriarch, Patriarch, we will take our leave." Only the clan elders, Huang Mingdao and Huang Feng, were left in the meeting hall. Huang Mingdao pointed to the seat next to him. "Come and sit down." "Yes. Thank you, Father." "Thank you, Patriarch." The clan elders smiled and nodded their heads. Huang Feng was the number one person in the Huang Jia's younger generation, so they valued him very much. When Huang Feng sat down, Huang Mingdao said in a low voice, "Feng, tell us why you did this." "Yes." Huang Feng nodded and said, "I've seen some clues recently. Mr. Zhou's cultivation is getting stronger and stronger, and his ambition is getting bigger and bigger. As the first batch of people to follow him, our Huang Jia will definitely receive a lot of benefit. For example, the guards in our family are several times more than our Huang Jias in the past. Their individual strength is also incomparable. It's like this for us, and it's even more so for the Chen family. They originally had a stronger foundation than our Huang Jia. As the saying goes, one step ahead, one step ahead. The Chun family has always been one step ahead of our family. I don't want it to be like this forever. Huang Feng's eyes showed a fierce look. Huang Mingdao and the Huang Jia's clan elders saw this expression. They smiled with relief and nodded slightly to show their agreement. Huang Feng said, "Although I won't do anything to the Chun family because of this, I can still do some harmless little things." Huang Mingdao smiled. "Let's hear it." The younger generation of the Chun family is just like Chen Guhong said. There aren't many people who can be used. Today, it just so happens that Chen Guhong's body has a problem. I'll start from now on and care about Chen Guhong. I'll suggest that the younger generation of the Chen family replace him. In order to survive for 2 more years, Chen Guhong can only listen to my suggestion. In this way, I can buy 2 more years for our Huang Jia. 2 years. It's enough for our Huang Jia to catch up. Huang Feng's eyes were full of confidence. Ha 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 ha. Good. Good. It's good that my Fenger can have such an idea. Huang Mingdao slapped the armrest and laughed. An elder said with a smile, "Now that Fenger is doing things more and more steadily, it should be like this. We can't hinder the Chen family. Not only can we not, but we also have to reach out and help the Chen family. Of course, the master can lead the way, but the cultivation depends on the individual. How much the Chen family can learn depends on their own luck." Seeing that his ideas and practices were recognized by the real decision-makers of the Huang Jia, Huang Feng nodded heavily. "Well, it's late now. Let's call it a day." Huang Mingdao looked at the elders and said, "Elders, you should also take care of your health. You shouldn't stay up too late." "Ha ha ha ha, we are just a bunch of old bones, it's not a big deal. If Fenger can grow up, even burying us old bones is fine, ha 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 ha." The other elders also laughed out loud. Today, seeing Huang Feng's growth, the elders were very happy. In their hearts, they also believed that the next successor of the Huang Jia would be Huang Feng. Although they said so, the elders still got up and left. Huang Mingdao took Huang Feng back to their residence. They didn't say anything all the way. When they arrived at the door of Huang Feng's courtyard, he said, "Father is very happy today." "Thank you, Father." "Ha ha ha ha. You should rest early. We still have work to do tomorrow." "Yes. Father should also rest early." Huang Feng went back to the room and lay on the bed. He sighed heavily. The scene of seeing Chen Guhong today appeared in his mind, as well as the slight blue color in his eyes. If the Chen family wants to die, I don't have to do it. Chen family. After Chen Guhong explained what happened today, the meeting room quieted down. The Chen family didn't have as many elders as the Huang Jia. Now, there was only one elder from the original branch, Chen Xingye. Chen Xingye sighed. "Guhong, what do you think about the Huang Jia kid's proposal?" "Regarding the elders, I think that the Huang Jia kid is right." Chen Guhong's face was also helpless. He felt that his energy was getting worse and worse recently. Every night, not only did he not sleep well, but he also got up more frequently. The things he did during the day were all done with great effort. The elder looked at Chen Guhong's expression and sighed again. "Well, Guhong, you have to take care of your body. Let the next generation take care of the family's affairs. The Chen family was saved last time. It was already very lucky. We shouldn't have any more extravagant demands. Even more so, we should restrain our ambitions. This old man was too greedy before." Chapter 168. "Elder, please don't say that." Chen Guhong waved his hand. "Our Chen family's vitality has been greatly damaged. In order to keep our previous business, everyone in the family is working hard. I understand this. Recently, I feel that my energy has been greatly reduced. In order to not delay your matters, I will choose a young man to work for you. Do you have a candidate in mind?" Chen Xingye pondered for a while and shook his head. "Guhong, you know that our branch has only been in power for a short period of time. There are many young men in the family, but I really don't know who we can use. Alright, Guhong, what about your eldest son? Him? Chen Guhong shook his head. That child has been spoiled by his mother. Whether it is his ability or his temperament, he is useless. Otherwise, he will become a disaster. Our Chen family can't take any more trouble. Then does Guhong have a candidate in mind? Chen Xingye asked again. Candidate? Chen Guhong pondered. The figures of the young men of the Chen family flashed across his mind. After a while, he said, let the young master of the second branch, Chen Wenhe, go. Chen Xingye nodded and asked again, you really don't want to consider your son? Clan elder, that brat really isn't cut out for this. If we let him go, we'll be harming him and our Chen clan. Chen Guhong refused firmly. Alright, then I'll tell the second branch tomorrow, and have Chen Wenhe go and do something. Chen Xingye stood up. Guhong, you should rest early. With Wenhe, you won't have to work so hard in the future. Chen Guhong also stood up and cupped his hands. Thank you for your concern, elder. Take care. After Chen Guhong left the room, Chen Guhong extinguished all the lights and took the lanterns prepared by the guards outside the door. He refused to let anyone follow him and slowly walked into the darkness. Chen Xingye returned to his courtyard and pushed the door open. There was already someone waiting for him inside. Elder, what did that person say? A woman's voice sounded. Shut up! Chen Xingye shouted in a low voice. He turned around and closed the door. He turned off the lights near the door and window in the room and then sat down at the table. The room was dimly lit, but he could still see the woman's beautiful face. This woman was Chen Guhong's official wife, Zhang Qinyan. Who told you to come here? Chen Xingye's tone was full of ruthlessness. I'm just anxious. That dead man hasn't come to find me for more than a month. I want to talk to him, but he's nowhere to be found. I can only look for you. As she spoke, she walked to Chen Xingye's side and placed her small white hand on his wrinkled old hand. Chen Xingye's eyes narrowed and his arm trembled slightly. He pulled his hand back and said, the patriarch has chosen Chen Wenhe from the second branch. What? Zhang Qinyan screamed. That old bastard really doesn't care about his own child. The sharp voice made Chen Xingye's heart twitch. He quickly said, what are you shouting for? Do you want everyone to know about it? Shut up. Zhang Qinyan didn't care. She stared at Chen Xingye and asked, that dead man did this, and you didn't stop him? Do you also not want to see my son succeed? Hearing this, Chen Xingye sneered in his heart. He was very disdainful. That son of yours wants to succeed? It's more likely that his head will fall to the ground. But he could only think this in his heart. How could I not persuade him? I tried more than once, but it was useless. Chen Xingye was also very helpless, but his helplessness was two-sided. One was for Chen Guhong, and the other was for Zhang Qinyan in front of him. This was a sin. How is that possible? I know that dead man's personality. He will definitely listen to you. Zhang Qinyan had been Chen Guhong's wife for more than 20 years. She naturally understood him. That was back then. Chen Xingye corrected. Back then, Chen Guhong was just a small steward. He definitely didn't dare to disobey me, just like how he didn't dare to disobey you. But it's different now. He's now the head of the Chen family. He's the head of the Chen family. Zhang Qinyan took a deep breath. Her towering chest puffed out again, causing Chen Xingye's eyes to drift. But when he saw a mocking gaze, he quickly composed himself. Hee, your wings have hardened. Zhang Qinyan sneered. Back then, when I married the Chen family, not only did Chen Guhong not know how to be grateful, he actually sided with an outsider. Good. Very good. Hearing the word married down, Chen Xingye was furious. It can't be considered married down. Guhong is now the head of the Chen family. And your Zhang family, is there anyone left in the Zhang family now? You. Zhang Qingyan's eyes were like lightning, piercing towards Chen Xingye. Old thing. Back then, it was you, a bastard, who relied on your identity as the main family to humiliate me. You can't have forgotten, right? Nonsense. Chen Xingye's eyes widened. There was anger and fear in them. Nonsense? There aren't many people in the Chen family who know that you're from the main family. Unfortunately, I'm one of them. Last time, when the Chen family was purged, an old bastard like you managed to escape. Isn't that already a blessing? Chen Xingye was silent. After a while, he asked, "What do you want?" "What do I want?" "Of course, I want my son to take the position," Zhang Qinyan said firmly. "Looking at what that old bastard is doing now, it's obvious that he doesn't want to pass the position to his son." "What a bastard!" Zhang Qingyan's expression suddenly changed. Ripples filled her eyes, and her face bloomed like a spring breeze. She walked to Chen Xingye's side. "Elder, do you still remember my body?" Chen Xingye's hands, which were hidden in his sleeves, immediately clenched. "Back then, a teenage girl like a flower was bullied by an old bastard like you. You must have been very happy, right? All these years, you took advantage of Gu Hong's absence to bully me. You haven't forgotten, have you?" Following Zhang Qingyan's question, scenes from back then appeared in Chen Xingye's mind. His breathing became heavy. Seeing Chen Xingye's change, a trace of disdain flashed across Zhang Qingyan's eyes. Chen Xingye hadn't looked for her for many years. The reason was self-evident. In the end, Chen Xingye lowered his head and said in a low voice, "I know what to do. It's late, you should go back." Zhang Qinyan looked at Chen Xingye's old face. Back then, he was her nightmare and the demon in her eyes. Now, the demon had lowered his head to her. An incomparable carefree feeling flowed through her heart. With a bell-like smile, Zhang Qinyan walked to the center of the room under Chen Xingye's astonished gaze. Zhang Qinyan turned around. Her gorgeous clothes fell to her feet like falling petals, revealing an exquisite and seductive body. "Do you want?" A trace of red appeared on Chen Xingye's face. His breathing became heavy. "You go back." Zhang Qinyan smiled faintly. She put on her clothes and walked out. What a sin! Chapter 169. The golden rooster crowed, and the sun rose from the east. Chen Guhong struggled to sit up in bed with the help of a servant girl. He took a cup of water to rinse his mouth, and then drank half a cup of warm water. "Master, this is today's medicine." The servant girl brought over a tray, and on it was a translucent teacup made of jasper. "Okay." Chen Guhong exhaled. The half-cup of warm water made him feel refreshed. He took the teacup and was about to drink it. "Master!" The servant girl suddenly called out. "What's wrong?" Chen Guhong was a little surprised. "No, nothing. I just feel that Master has been a lot more tired recently." The servant girl lowered her head. This servant girl had been with Chen Guhong for a few years, and he knew what she was thinking. She just wanted to rise up and get rid of her identity as a servant girl. But she didn't know that even if she followed Chen Guhong, her life wouldn't be as good as it was now. "Haha, it's just that I'm getting old and can't stay up late," Chen Guhong said. After that, he raised his right hand and drank the medicine in the cup. After putting the teacup back, he said, "You can leave." After the servant girl left, Chen Guhong's face suddenly changed. He turned to the end of the bed and spat out a mouthful of water. Cough, cough. Cough, cough. Chen Guhong coughed laboriously, and his face slowly turned red. He held onto the side of the bed and rested for a while. Then, he took out a small copper medicine bottle and poured out a vermilion pill. He raised his head and swallowed it. "If you don't kill the snake, it will hurt you." 2 lines of tears flowed from Chen Guhong's eyes. After a while, the water on the floor at the end of the bed dried. He took out another medicine bottle and poured out a green pill. "Lord Chen, this red pill is to counter the poison you brought. As for this green pill, the person who consumes it will slowly show signs of dying. In fact, it is not harmful to the human body at all. Not entirely. The main thing is that it will make one feel short of breath and weak, but it will not harm one's foundation. After Chen Guhong swallowed the green pill, he slowly got up and put on his clothes. As soon as she walked out of the room, she saw her son, Chen Wenyao, sitting in the courtyard and groping the young maidservant beside him. "What are you doing here?" Chen Guhong had never been kind to Chen Wenyao. "Yo dad, you're up." Seeing Chen Guhong, Chen Wenyao chuckled and removed his hand from the maidservant's buttock. He got up and walked over. "I heard that father's health hasn't been good recently. I'm worried about you, so I came to see you. Hee, aren't you fine?" "Bastard!" Chen Guhong shouted angrily, then coughed repeatedly. Looking at the bent Chen Guhong, Chen Wenyao's face hardened and his tone became fierce. "Dad, I heard that you're going to let that little bastard from the second branch take over. Am I your biological son, or is he your biological son? Bastard! How dare you talk to your father like that?" Chen Guhong pointed at Chen Wenyao and scolded. "Hey!" Chen Wenyao laughed disdainfully. "Who are you trying to scare? Could it be that, after hanging around with the new master for 2 days, you really think you're the number one person in the Chen family?" He stretched out his hand and slapped Chen Guhong's finger away. "Chen Guhong, did you forget? When you were 8 years old, when my mother punished you, I was the one who did it. You're still pretending to be my dad? I'm giving you face by calling you dad." After Chen Wenyao finished speaking, he stepped forward and kicked Chen Guhong to the ground. "Pei!" A white shadow fell. "My mother was right, you're a pile of mud. Dog shit." Chen Wenyao's smile became more and more savage. "Let me tell you, the second branch has been locked up by me. No matter how good your calculations are, it's useless. In our family, only my mother has the final say. Ha 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 ha. Bastard." Chen Guhong lay on the ground, looking at Chen Wenyao's back, full of sadness. "Master, are you okay?" The little maid saw Chen Guhong leave, and quickly ran over. She supported Chen Guhong to stand up. "Hey, you go out." The little maid's face changed. After struggling for a while, she shook off Chen Guhong's arm and took 2 steps back. She looked at Chen Guhong and said, "Young master is right, you're a pile of mud. I've been counting on you for so many years, but you've never looked at me. What's wrong with me? Or is it like what young master said, you're a waste? Get out. Get out of my sight." Chen Guhong leaned against the door frame, trembling with anger. Waste. The little maid scolded again, turned and ran out. At this moment, Chen Guhong seemed to have aged 20 years, looking like the sun setting in the west. He turned and walked into the room, closing the door. Clap, clap, clap. Applause sounded. "Wonderful, wonderful!" A man in his 30s sat in the hall, looking at Chen Guhong with eyes full of admiration. "I've made a fool of myself." Chen Guhong smiled bitterly. No. The man was the leader of the Qin family's guards, Chen Moran. He was not a member of the Qin family, nor did he belong to the Qin family. He was under the direct control of Zhou Fu. However, only Chen Guhong knew about this. The rest of the Qin family didn't know. If we're talking about sinister, it's you guys. Rough men like us are suitable for fighting and killing. If it was me just now, that person's head would be hanging on the roof right now. Chen Guhong's mouth twitched. He didn't want to continue with this kind of obvious praise and sarcasm. "This is a bribe from your wife." Chen Moran took out a few banknotes and put them on the table. "You're not going to accept it?" Chen Guhong was a little surprised. Was this person so noble? He didn't believe it. Chen Moran rolled his eyes. "Accept your head. This is my lord's money. If I accept it today, you can help me collect my corpse tomorrow. I'm greedy, but I'm not blind. By the way, your wife seduced me. Don't worry, I didn't touch her." As soon as he said this, Chen Guhong's face instantly darkened. "By the way, according to my subordinate's investigation, your wife is having an affair with that old man of your family. How about it? Do you want me to help you investigate?" Chen Guhong suddenly wanted to hit someone, even though he knew he couldn't beat the person in front of him. Can we change the topic? Yes, yes. Chen Moran nodded. By the way, that bastard outside just now doesn't seem to be your son. Bang! A teacup was smashed on the ground. Chen Guhong punched Chen Moran in the face. Okay, I'm just saying. Don't be angry. Chen Moran, who was beaten, laughed. Chen Guhong, who was beaten up, grimaced in pain and rubbed his wrist. Chen family head, now that you've thrown the mess to Milord, are you ready to bear the consequences? Chen Moran's face turned serious and he asked in a deep voice. At this moment, Chen Guhong felt that the depression in his heart had dissipated a lot. He sighed, I'm prepared. Chapter 170. It's good that you're prepared. Do you know what's the worst that could happen at this juncture? Chen Moran looked at the Chen family head with a complicated expression. Chen Guhong felt helpless when he heard the question. I've always heard people say that the world is unpredictable. I've seen it for myself today. I didn't expect you to act so quickly. I'm helpless too. The worst that could happen is that the Chen family will be destroyed. However, there's no turning back for me. All right. Chen Moran stood up. It's good that you know. I won't say anything else. He walked to the window and turned around. If you want to attack the Chen family, I'll volunteer myself. Don't worry, my knife is fast. It's also very sharp. As soon as he finished speaking, he flew out without waiting for a reply. On the other side, Chen Wenyao arrived at the courtyard of the Chen family's elder, Chen Xingye. There were already many people sitting there. They were all the stewards of the Chen family. Wenyao, you're here. Chen Xingye nodded. When you go to Mr. Zhou's place, you must be careful, very careful. Don't be rash. At this moment, Chen Wenyao was no longer as arrogant as before. He knew that this wasn't a place for him to be arrogant. He knew how to judge a person's character. Wenyao will definitely not disappoint the elders and everyone's expectations. As soon as he said that, many of the Chen family stewards' expressions changed. They were unhappy. This kid was so arrogant. What did he mean by everyone? Which of the people sitting here wasn't Chen Wenyao's elder? How could he just use everyone instead? You haven't ascended to the position yet. Even if you did, you shouldn't be so arrogant. Look at Chen Guhong. As the head of the family, not only was he respectful to the elders, but he also didn't order them around. Chen Xingye frowned slightly. He was still a little nervous. Whether it was a blessing or a curse for Chen Wenyao to go to Zhou Fu's place was up to fate. At this moment, Chen Xingye saw a lake blue dress flash past. His heart tightened. That crazy woman was here. When he thought of the scene last night, his back broke out in a cold sweat. Since Wenyao has such information, let's go. Yes. Chen Wenyao turned around and walked out. Sigh. May the ancestors of the Chen family bless me. This unfilial grandson, Chen Xingye, kowtows. Chen Xingye prayed in his heart. Chen Wenyao had just stepped out of the courtyard when a voice called out to him. Yao Zhang Qinyan walked over. Mother. Yao today is different from the past. You have to be careful. If you run into trouble, don't panic. You can ask Huang Feng for help, or you can come to me, Zhang Qinyan said, her eyes filled with concern. Don't worry, mother. I know what to do. That's good, that's good. Zhang Qinyan nodded with a smile. Mother has already bribed the head of the Qin family's guards. He'll help you with the manpower. Zhang Wenyao's expression froze, and his smile became somewhat forced. Is that so? Thank you, mother. Yao what happened to you? Nothing. Thank you for taking care of everything for me. Silly child. Zhang Qinyan gently patted Zhang Wenyao's arm. What are you saying? Your mother's flesh and blood. It's still early, so you should go and rest. We'll be going to Zhou Manor in the afternoon. In the afternoon? Zhang Wenyao's eyes widened. Didn't you say we'll be going at night? The Lord set the time at night, so we naturally have to go earlier. Don't worry, Huang Jiao will send someone over. You can go with Huang Feng. Oh, I understand. Then I'll go and rest. And go. The sun was setting in the west. At around 4 in the afternoon, Huang Jia's carriage arrived at the Qin family's gate. Hearing the Qin family's gate open, Huang Feng lifted the curtain and saw Chen Wenyao walking out. He was completely dumbfounded. Damn it, why is it him? Is the Chen family crazy? Is Chen Guhong's brain damaged? Huang Feng looked at Chen Wenyao in astonishment. Yo, brother Feng, how are you? Chen Wenyao greeted with a smile. My father isn't feeling well. If you have any problems in the future, just look for me. Ha! Ha ha! Huang Feng laughed awkwardly and said, You don't have to call me so intimately. Just call me Brother Huang. If you really can't, call me Brother Feng. Brother Huang? Haha, Huang Feng, you're really brave. You're not afraid of losing your head, but I'm worried about getting into trouble. Chen Wenyao's lips curled up. He turned around and got into the Qin family's carriage. Huang Feng turned around to take a look and sucked in a breath of cold air. Wasn't this carriage prepared by the Qin family for Zhou Fu? What was Chen Guhong, that old fox, trying to do? Kill his own son? At this moment, Huang Feng felt like his brain wasn't enough. He put down the curtain in a daze and knocked on the carriage. The carriage slowly moved. What's going on? Something must have happened to the Chen family. But if something really happened, there's no way the Lord wouldn't know. The Chen family's guards are still there. What's going on? Huang Feng was going crazy. Yesterday he was full of confidence, but today he was at a loss. Young master, we've arrived. The coachman's voice woke Huang Feng up. He blurted out, We've arrived. Yes, young master. Are you all right? The coachman asked with concern. I'm fine, I'm fine. Huang Feng got off the carriage and saw Chen Wenyao on the other side. Haha, brother Huang, you. Jin Peng walked over and suddenly saw Chen Wenyao get off the familiar carriage. He was stunned. You must be the Elysium's shopkeeper, Jin. I'm Chen Wenyao. My father is Chen Guhong. Chen Wenyao said as he walked forward. Jin Peng blinked and nodded. I know. Since everyone is here, let's go in. Remember, don't make a ruckus. After he finished speaking, he turned and walked into Zhou Mansion. Huang Feng followed closely behind. Chen Wenyao took a deep breath and looked at the two figures in front of him. They were about the same age as him. His heart was burning. Today is the day I, Chen Wenyao, soar. He lifted his collar and walked up the steps. In front, Jin Peng whispered, Huang Feng, what's going on? Does the Chen family not want to live anymore? Don't ask me. I'm still King confused. That old bastard Chen Guhong must have gone crazy. Look, the cold sweat on my head hasn't disappeared yet. Chen Guhong. Jin Peng gritted his teeth. I want to destroy the Chen family right now. Huang Feng rolled his eyes. Just wait. I feel like there's a big problem here. Maybe that old devil Chen wants to kill with a borrowed knife. Isn't Chen Wenyao his son? Even if he wants to die, that's not the way to go. Stop talking. That kid is following us. The voices disappeared and the two walked in silence. The three of them arrived at the parlor. This time, because Chen Wenyao was there, they didn't dare to go directly to Zhou Fu's courtyard. Chapter 171. In the room, the three of them sat down. Jin Peng and Huang Feng sat in a daze. Today's events were too strange. They needed to sort out their thoughts. On the other side, Chen Wenyao felt isolated. He was curious about everything around him. Seeing that the two of them were not talking, he was a little puzzled, so he asked, Excuse me, are we going to wait for so long? Jin Peng looked at him and said, Yes, wait. Wait until when? Wait until someone comes to call us. Jin Peng was impatient. He didn't want to talk to this unlucky kid. I want to go to the toilet. Go out and turn left. It's quiet now. Yes. Chen Wenyao was angry. Why were these people so arrogant? Didn't they just come a few days earlier than him? Time passed slowly. The sky outside had darkened. Chen Wenyao was impatient. He felt uncomfortable sitting for hours. He got up and said, "Excuse me, my stomach doesn't feel well. I'll go out for a while." As the door closed, Jean Peng and Huang Feng quickly got up and stretched their bodies. "I'm finally out. It's so uncomfortable." "Who said it wasn't?" Huang Feng also grinned. "Damn old Chen. Couldn't he have told us in advance? What is this now? I've been scared out of my wits for a long time." Jean Ping shook his head. "What do we do later? If Sir sees the Chen family's carriage, it'll be a big joke. You must know that our Sir loves cleanliness. He didn't even want to stay in the Elysium and even built a new courtyard for himself. What would happen if he saw his own carriage being used by someone else? Can you be a human? Don't scare me. I've been worried for a long time. Let me have some peace before I die." "It won't be to the extent of death, but the Chen family is finished for sure," Jean Ping said with certainty. "Moreover, this kid is a hothead. He looks like he's going to soar. He's asking for a beating. There's nothing we can do about it. They asked for it. I'm starting to wonder if Chen Guhong has been imprisoned. Who knows what kind of bad things this old guy is up to? Let's just wait and see." Huang Feng pursed his lips. He asked again, "When do you think His Excellency will deal with the Chen family this time? Is there a need to guess? Of course, if this unlucky child causes trouble midway, the adults might take care of the Chen family first. Of course, if this unlucky child causes trouble midway, the adults might take care of the Chen family first." Huang Feng shook his head. Just as he was about to speak, a shadow appeared on the window beside him. He gestured to Jean Peng, and the two of them stopped talking. The door was pushed open, and Chen Wenyao came back in. Right at this moment, a series of footsteps was heard. The three of them raised their heads and saw Yuzhu walking over. Yuzhu was surprised to see the unfamiliar Chen Wenyao, but she didn't ask. She said, "Come over. His Excellency has finished cultivating." "Thank you, Miss Yuzhu," Jean Peng and Huang Feng said at the same time. In the training room, the faint golden light faded, revealing Zhou Fu's figure. He let out a long breath and sighed. "I still haven't recovered to the peak of the first stage of bone forging. It's really too difficult. This body is like a bottomless pit. I've been cultivating for half a day, but I don't feel any increase in inner strength." Looking up, Zhou Fu saw that the sky had darkened. He returned to the room and changed his clothes, then went to the study. "Greetings, His Excellency. Sit down." Zhou Fu saw the unfamiliar Chen Wenyao, and a look of surprise flashed across his face. When Huang Feng and Jean Peng sat down, Chen Wenyao said, "Subordinate Chen Wenyao greets Mr. Zhou." "Chen Wenyao? Who is Chen Guhong to you?" "He's subordinate's father." Zhou Fu nodded. "Sit back down. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask Huang Feng or Jean Peng." Zhou Fu was still not used to a stranger replacing Chen Guhong. But it didn't matter as long as there was someone to work for him. Then, he took the organized information and began to assign tasks. The operation this time was led by the head of the Elysium's guards, Duan Qing. The three families dispatched 300 people, of which 12 were at the third stage of bone forging. Chen Wenyao sat at the edge. It was his first time seeing Zhou Fu. He looked at Zhou Fu's face, which was not even 20 years old, and couldn't help but feel jealous. But then his heart burned again. He thought to himself, "If this person can do it, why can't I do it? I think this person is not even 20 years old, and the rumors about this person can be trusted, but not completely." It's said that this Zhou Fu is the giant whale's foreign affairs emissary. He has a strong background, and the giant whale's gang leader has rewarded him repeatedly. Even a ghost wouldn't believe that he has nothing to do with this. Suddenly, he had an idea. If I can establish a relationship with the giant whale's gang leader through this person, then... Chen Wenyao's lips curled up as he thought of something. After arranging everything, Zhou Fu looked at Chen Guhong, who was smiling foolishly, and frowned. He thought to himself, is Qin Guhong's son an idiot? Alright, you all understand your mission. Go and do it now. Yes. The members of the operation this time did not gather at Zhou Fu's place. He stood up and led the three of them out of the door. This time, you'll have to do it yourselves. I won't be following you. There were 300 meticulously trained bodyguards as well as 12 third-stage bone-forging martial artists. As for the opponents he had chosen, even if all of them were added together, they wouldn't even be able to gather 10 third-stage bone-forging martial artists. If there were any more problems, then these people could just die. He, Zhou Fu, did not need trash. Arriving at the door, Zhou Fu looked at the carriages parked in front of the door. If he wasn't mistaken, one of the 3 carriages seemed to be his. Jin Peng said to Chen Wenyao in a low voice, "Follow me in a bit." After saying this, he directly boarded the carriage. On the other side, Huang Feng also got into his own carriage. Chen Wenyao was not surprised. He could clearly feel Jin and Huang's rejection of him, but he didn't mind. Thus, he walked to the last carriage, stepped onto the bench, and bent down to get in. The 3 carriages began to move, driving into the darkness. Someone come. Zhou Fu was expressionless. "My lord." A figure walked out from the door. It was one of the guards in Zhou Fu's residence. The leader of the Qin family's guards is called Qin Moran, right? Have him come see me. Yes. Zhou Fu suddenly sneered. The Qin family interesting. Finished speaking, he turned and walked into the residence. After half an hour, Qin Moran walked into Zhou Fu's study. Subordinate Qin Moran greets my lord. Zhou Fu said, "Tell me, what's the situation with the Qin family now?" Qin Moran was not surprised by Zhou Fu's question. Thus, he told him everything about the Qin family, including how Qin Guhong's wife had bribed and seduced him. He did not hide anything. Chapter 172. After hearing this, Zhou Fu pondered for a while, then raised his head and asked, "What did Qin Guhong say about this?" Qin Moran replied, "My lord, Qin Guhong said that he had no choice but to leave everything to my lord." Hearing that Qin Guhong had left the mess to him to deal with, Zhou Fu was so angry that he laughed. "This is what Qin Guhong said?" "Yes. He's already so old, and he's even the current head of the Qin family, yet he wants me to help him deal with his family matters, he. He's been living like a dog for so long." How could Zhou Fu not be angry? All the guards of the Qin family were under Qin Guhong's control. With such power, he still had the face to escape, and even asked the alchemist to make special pills. It really made people speechless. "Let me deal with it, sure." Zhou Fu nodded. "When Jin Peng and the other 2 come back, break Qin Wenyao's legs and send him to the Qin family. Also, arrest all the people who went to Qin Xingye's courtyard today. Especially that Zhang Qinyan, keep a close eye on her. I'd like to see this amazing woman with such a heavy burden." In Zhou Fu's eyes, the Qin family was his first money bag. And now that Zhou Fu was short of money, someone actually wanted to take his money bag. How could he let them go? No. Go to the Qin family now and arrest those bastards. If they resist, kill them. Yes. Qin family. Bang. The door of Qin Xingye's courtyard was kicked open, and more than 10 fully armed guards rushed in, heading straight for the main room. "What are you doing?" Qin Xingye's eyes widened and he asked sternly. Qin Moran walked in with a cold smile. "What are we doing? Old thing, you're quite good at hiding. There's someone on the bed?" He gestured with his hand, and a guard strode to the bedside and tore off the blanket. With a scream, a white body was revealed. "Isn't this the maid in Qin Guhong's room?" Qin Moran was stunned. Then he took a deep breath and shouted, "Stop blocking my ass! Get dressed!" The young maidservant trembled as she grabbed her clothes. She shrank into a corner and hurriedly put on her clothes. "You are Qin Guhong's men? What was he trying to do? Are you going to kill this old man?" Qin Xingye calmed down and asked. "You old thing, you sure know how to act. It's not without reason that the main bloodline of the Qin family was able to keep you alive. The words Qin family's main bloodline exploded in Chen Xingye's ears like a sudden clap of thunder. He was so scared that his whole body trembled. He pointed at Chen Moran and screamed, "You're that bitch's man!" As Chen Xingye thought, there were only 3 people in the Chen family who knew about his identity. One of them was him, and the other 2 were Chen Guhong and Zhang Qinyan. "Old thing, if you don't shut up, I'll break off the remaining teeth in your mouth." Chen Xingye hurriedly shut his mouth. "Sir!" A timid voice was heard. Chen Moran turned his head. The young maidservant looked delicate and pretty with tears on her face. However, in Chen Moran's eyes, this look was very awkward. "Sir, I'm just a maidservant. This has nothing to do with me. Can you be lenient and let me go this time? I was forced to do this. It's all his fault." The young maidservant's voice suddenly became louder. She pointed at Chen Xingye and said, "He threatened me. He said that he could find the feeling of youth in me. If I didn't agree, he would secretly kill me. I'm afraid." She began to cry. "Shut up!" Chen Moran shouted in a low voice and waved his hand. "Seal this girl's mouth and take her away." A look of pity flashed in the eyes of the guard standing at the side. He grabbed a piece of cloth from the bedside and stuffed the maidservant's mouth. "Woo woo woo, take them all away." "Who are you? What do you want to do?" The head of the Yu family, Yu Liang, looked at the person holding the knife in front of him in horror. "Stop talking nonsense and come out." The guard with the knife dragged Yu Liang out of the bed and kicked his butt. "Let's go." After leaving the room, Yu Liang realized that the situation in the Yu family had changed. Torches were set up in the courtyard and the people standing in the middle were all his family members. Unlike the big families, the Yu family was a small merchant family. The people living in the courtyard were all his family members. Those who were in charge did not live together. "Heroes, if it's for money, I will definitely not keep it for myself." Yu Liang's legs trembled as he forced himself to open his mouth. Before Yu Liang could finish his sentence, a laugh interrupted him. "Ha ha ha ha, little nephew Huang Feng greets Uncle Yu." Huang Feng laughed as he walked out from the side. With the help of the firelight, Yu Liang sized up Huang Feng. A familiar feeling surged in his heart. He was sure that he had seen this person before, but he could not recall who it was. Uncle Yu really has a short memory. "I am Huang Feng from the Huang Jia." "Huang Jia, it's you." Yu Liang widened his eyes. Huang Feng smiled and said, "It seems that Uncle Yu has remembered. Then the following words will be easy to say. What do you want to do? My Yu family and the Huang Jia don't have any grudges, right?" "No grudges nor grudges. I am here this time to give the Yu family a benefit." "A great benefit? There's such a benefit?" Yu Liang pointed at the trembling family members in the courtyard. His expression was extremely bad. Huang Feng was not angry. He waved to the crowd, and the guards at the side grabbed 2 trembling young men from the crowd and pushed them forward. "It's fine if Uncle Yu doesn't agree. I think these 2 Yu brothers are dragons among men. I believe that in their hands the Yu family will definitely prosper." As soon as these words came out, not only was Yu Liang stunned, even the 2 young men who were trembling stopped trembling. Their eyes slowly lit up. Things changed so quickly that Yu Liang could not react in time. "Have you thought it through? If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes." After a while, Huang Feng saw that Yu Liang was still in a daze and was a little impatient. Before coming here, he had agreed with Jin Peng that each of them would take care of 3 families, while Jin Peng would take care of Qin Wenyao. Of course, after that, Huang Feng would give Jin Peng some benefits as a nanny fee. "Nephew, no, young Master Huang, please wait a moment." Yu Liang quickly said, "I still don't know what happened. You see, it's very simple." Huang Feng said, "From tonight onwards, your Yu family will be my subordinates. If you agree, nod your head. Tomorrow, someone will bring you to a place. If you don't agree, I'll ask someone else." This simple and crude method was very hard for Yu Liang to accept. He said awkwardly, "Young Master Huang, you must be joking." Huang Feng turned his head and looked at Yu Liang's two sons. He said, "Your chance is here. Yu Liang is old and his mind is not clear. If you agree, you will be the head of the Yu family." The two young men suddenly opened their eyes wide, and their hearts began to beat rapidly. "Huang." Yu Liang opened his mouth again. Whoosh! A long sword with a cold gleam was placed on Yu Liang's neck. He immediately swallowed the words he was about to say. Huang Feng didn't even turn his head to look at what was happening around him. Seeing their father being forced by a long sword, the two young men looked at each other timidly. They swallowed their saliva and didn't dare to say anything. However, Huang Feng could see the desire in their eyes. This series of changes was seen by the people behind. At this moment, they didn't say anything and just stared at the door. In their eyes, the most important thing now was no longer being kidnapped by the robbers, but the possible transfer of power in their family. This was a big matter that could directly affect them. A smile appeared on Huang Feng's face again. "Don't worry. After you agree, I will send someone to help you deal with the chores." Under Huang Feng's temptation, the two young men's breathing gradually became heavier. Their lips began to tremble and they were about to speak. "My son. You can't." A mournful cry rang out. Everyone turned their heads and saw a woman in her 30s walking to the front of the crowd. Her eyes were filled with sorrow as she looked over. "Your father is being held hostage by the robbers. You must not do anything that will make people feel cold. You must not." Huang Feng waved away the guards who were about to step forward to deal with the woman and said again, "You're not willing to make a choice, right? Then I'll have to change people." "Change people?" Yu Liang and the two young men were stunned. Then, they suddenly looked at the crowd. There were a few young men standing there. They were also from the Yu family, but they weren't Yu Liang's children. "I just need someone to help me look after the Yu family. I didn't say that it must be you." The corner of Huang Feng's mouth twitched slightly. There was already a hint of impatience in his tone. "Young Master Huang, what will happen if we don't agree?" "You'll die," Huang Feng said with certainty. Yu Liang got the answer he wanted from Huang Feng and sighed. "What if we agree?" "Nothing. Other than having to listen to my orders, nothing else will change," Huang Feng said again. "Don't think too much. If you don't listen to me, I'll change to someone else." Yu Liang smiled bitterly. "Do I have any room to refuse?" Seeing that the other party agreed, Huang Feng said, "That's good. I'm not someone who likes to kill. I'll be in charge of the Yu family's guards in the future. Also, I'll send a big accountant. I hope Uncle Yu won't make things difficult for him." I wouldn't dare." Yu Liang quickly lowered his head. Huang Feng waved his hand and the guards at the side withdrew their long swords. "I have other things to do tonight. Uncle Yu, you should rest early." "Oh right, I almost forgot." Huang Feng reached out and grabbed a young man. "What's your name?" After the young man was grabbed, he began to tremble again. He said shakily, "Young Master Huang, my name is Yu Siyuan." "Siyuan, right? All right, you'll follow me from now on. Let's go." Huang Feng left behind 20 guards and left the Yu family with his men. He went to his next target. Tonight, in Ning, an east city, the Lu, He, Gu, Ma, and Zhang families were in the same situation. Of course, there were also different endings. After all, there were always people who didn't know what was good for them. When the sky was slightly bright, Huang Feng and the other two brought 6 dejected young men to Zhou Fu's house. Chapter 173. In front of the study, Zhou Fu looked at the 6 young men who were observing him with their heads lowered. He turned to Huang Feng and asked, "Are these the people you chose?" Before this operation, Huang Feng had found Zhou Fu and suggested that they should choose a young representative from each of the target forces. They had to intimidate these young men so that they would not dare to resist. Moreover, they had to pass on this idea to their families. At the same time, they had to implement the strategy of borrowing the chicken to lay the eggs, borrowing the strength of each force to train guards. On one hand, these guards could protect the safety of these newly recruited forces. On the other hand, they could control the leaders of these forces. Zhou Fu agreed with this idea, so he adopted Huang Feng's suggestion. Yes, sir. If there are any problems in the future, we will discuss with these young men and let them pass on the message. Finally, we will carry out the plan. Not bad. Zhou Fu nodded and said to the 6 people, not bad. You've been working hard all night. I've prepared food for you. Go and eat. The 6 young men looked at each other. None of them dared to take the initiative to move. Jean Ping said in a low voice, "Why aren't you thanking Sir for the reward?" "Thank you, Sir, for the reward." Sparse sounds could be heard. Yuzhu then led the few people out of the courtyard. At this moment, Zhou Fu said, "All right, you guys can come in." Thus, Jean Ping and Huang Feng followed Zhou Fu into the study. Chen Wenyao, who was the last to walk, also came to the door. Just as he was about to step over the threshold and enter the room, his collar suddenly tightened. Suddenly, the back of his collar tightened. At the same time, a large hand reached out from behind his ear and covered his mouth and nose. A huge force came from the hand and pressed his face to the back. Wu Chen Wenyao kicked his feet in fear, trying to attract the attention of the 3 people in the room. At this moment, Huang Feng, who was the last to enter the study, turned around and smiled at the terrified Chen Wenyao. Then, he gently closed the door and shut Chen Wenyao's hope. His appearance can be considered decent, but it's a pity that his heart is not in the right place. He's a bastard who doesn't care about his biological father. Speaking of which, old Chen is a good person. How did he end up with such a son? Oh right, he has an even more outrageous wife. After returning to the study and sitting down, Zhou Fu sighed. At the same time, he thought of Zhou Ducai, who was far away in his hometown. In the blink of an eye, he had not seen him for more than half a year. He really missed him. Milord is right. Shopkeeper Jean and I have been dealing with Chen Guhong for some time now. He's a good person. It's really a pity. However, old Chen isn't that old. If we find another one, I reckon we can still have children. These words were quite clever. On the surface, it was a joke, but in fact, it was secretly helping Chen Guhong to plead for mercy. On the one hand, it expressed the hope that Zhou Fu would not kill the Chen family. On the other hand, it indicated that Chen Guhong and the Chen family could still help Zhou Fu. Zhou Fu thought it was a joke, but after thinking about it, this kid was pleading for Chen Guhong. Zhou Fu smiled and pointed at Huang Feng. "Kid, you should save your mouth. If old Chen finds out, who knows how he'll deal with you." Hearing Zhou Fu's words, Huang Feng was relieved. It seemed that Chen Guhong's life was saved this time. He smiled and shrunk his neck. "Milord, I was just joking. I was just joking. All right, you've been busy all night. Let's finish this quickly so you can go back and rest. You've done well in this operation. As for the rewards, there will naturally be. Take out 50% of the harvest. You can deal with it as you see fit. When the time comes, just give me a result." Huang Feng and Jean Ping looked at each other. Both of them were very excited. Although their targets last night were 6 small forces, they had accumulated a lot of wealth over such a long period of time. Their wealth couldn't be small. Also, I'll talk about the division of labor in the future. Huang Feng and Jean Ping quickly sat down. 2 pairs of eyes stared at Zhou Fu, waiting for him to continue. This was directly related to their interests. "Duan Qing, come in." The door opened and Duan Qing walked in. Previously, every time he came to Zhou Fu's place, he would consciously stand outside the door and act as a gatekeeper. This time, when he heard Zhou Fu call for him, he was a little surprised. "In the future, you, Duan Qing, will be the leader of all the guards, regardless of whether you're from the Elysium, Huang Jia or Chen family. All the guards under my command will be under your command." Duan Cheng's face immediately turned red. This was due to excitement, caused by hot blood rushing to his head. With a plop, Duan Cheng knelt down in front of Zhou Fu. This subordinate will definitely not disappoint milord. Seeing that Duan Cheng was so obedient, Zhou Fu laughed. There's no need for that. Get up. Thank you, milord. In the future, the safety of my subordinates will all be in your hands. However, you must remember one thing clearly. In the future, our business will grow bigger and bigger, and the number of guards under your command will also increase. Without my orders, no more than 400 guards are allowed to gather in Ning and City. Yes, milord. This subordinate will definitely keep it in mind. Zhou Fu turned to look at Huang Feng. Huang Feng hurriedly stood up. In the future, the Huang Jia will be in charge of all the legal businesses under my command. As long as we can make a living on the surface, the Huang Jia will be in charge. The same goes for the Chen family. Milord. Happiness came too suddenly, and it was so great that Huang Feng was completely stunned. In a daze, he felt a little bloated. He felt that he couldn't eat the cake that Zhou Fu gave him. Thank you for your trust, milord. As milord said, your business will grow bigger and bigger. The Huang Jia really can't eat such a big piece of fat meat. Zhou Fu smiled. I didn't ask you, the Huang Jia, to meddle in all the businesses. Didn't you say that there was a chamber of commerce in Ning and City? Can't you, the Huang Jia, learn from the president of that chamber of commerce? When he heard Zhou Fu's words, he instantly understood. He wanted to promote the Huang Jia from a laborer who only knew how to bury himself in work to the position of a manager. Milord, we haven't done it before. If you haven't done it before, then learn. Zhou Fu looked at Huang Feng with some resentment. This bastard, I've already given him such a big stage as the Huang Jia, and he actually said no. Even if he had to crawl, he had to crawl. He then turned to look at Jin Peng. Jin Peng also learned from Huang Feng and stood up. Jin Peng, the Huang Jia is in charge of the businesses on the legal side. You look after the businesses outside the legal side. Yes, milord. The Elysium is a gambling house. You have experience in this area. Next, your focus will be on the big and small gambling houses on the East Pier. Except for the Red Sea Gang, don't touch them. Investigate the others and deal with them one by one. Yes, milord. Zhou Fu continued, like Huang Jia, don't just focus on the Elysium in the future. Learn how to manage it. In the future, when there are more gambling houses, you must be able to control them all. I definitely won't be able to meet your expectations. He then said to Huang Feng and Jin Peng, if there's anything you need to do in the future, go and inform Duan Cheng. If Duan Cheng doesn't feel confident, then come and find me. Yes, milord. Looking at the three excited subordinates, Zhou Fu laughed and waved his hand. You've worked hard all night. Go back and have a good sleep. Oh right, take those people with you when you leave. Chapter 174. Zhou Fu sat in the carriage that Elysium had prepared for him and arrived at the Chen family. Greetings, my lord. In the bright and spacious meeting hall, Zhou Fu sat on the main seat while Chen Guhong knelt in front of him. At this moment, Chen Guhong no longer looked as weak as before. Even the exhaustion on his face had disappeared. Oh, you look good after a night's sleep. Zhou Fu sneered. Zhou Fu didn't comment on Chen Guhong's scheme, but he hated it when people lied to him. Chen Guhong, as the central point of this Chen family matter, knew everything but didn't tell Zhou Fu. Instead, he wanted to settle the matter secretly. How could this matter be hidden from Zhou Fu? Now, all the guards of the Chen family were under Chen Moran's command, and Chen Moran was under Zhou Fu's jurisdiction. It was impossible for Chen Guhong to do things without Chen Moran's permission. This subordinate is terrified. Chen Guhong kowtowed to the ground and then closed his mouth. Humph! Zhou Fu snorted. At this moment, Chen Moran brought the Chen family's elder Chen Xingye, Chen Guhong's official wife Zhang Qinyan, and Chen Wenyao, who had broken his legs, into the hall. Plop! The three of them were pushed to the ground by the guards. My lord, they're here. Zhou Fu looked at Chen Xingye. This old man's face was sallow, and he looked like he was going to die at any moment. Old man Chen, as an elder of the Chen family, can't you just live well? How nice would it be to eat and drink and enjoy the rest of your life? Why do you have to jump out and cause trouble? Do you think you're dying too slowly? My lord, I'm foolish. Please give me a way out and spare my life. Chen Xingye kowtowed again and again. It was the kind of kowtow that caused a big commotion but didn't cause much damage. Thinking about it, it made sense. With Chen Xingye's age, if he really did it, it would be about time for the banquet to start. Spare your life? Zhou Fu sneered. You're already so old, why are you still talking nonsense? Back then, I was too lazy to care about you. I gave you such a great opportunity, but you didn't know how to cherish it. Now that the opportunity is gone, do you think I will give you another chance? Chen Xingye sat paralyzed on the ground, his body trembling slightly. As a person who was buried up to his neck, he knew the benefits of being alive. He would rather live for another day, even if he had to struggle at death's door, than to be free a day earlier. Sir, Chen Xingye suddenly spoke. I have a secret that I want to exchange for my life. Secret? Zhou Fu asked in surprise. That's not impossible, but if you dare to lie to me, or if your secret isn't worth your life, then you'll still have to die. Chen Xingye nodded repeatedly. He was certain that his secret was very big, and Zhou Fu definitely wouldn't refuse. Seeing Chen Xingye's expression, Zhou Fu smiled. It seemed that this old man was very confident. Speak. This. Chen Xingye looked left and right with a troubled expression. It doesn't matter. The people here are either my people, or, even if they know, they won't be able to say anything. Zhou Fu had a smile on his face, but his eyes flashed coldly. Everyone present felt a bone-piercing chill in their hearts. On the other side, Zhang Qinyan came to Chen Wenyao's side and hugged him. Her face and eyes were filled with despair. When Chen Xingye heard Zhou Fu say this, he took advantage of the situation and said, My lord, you're a cultivator, so you must know about the body refining hall, right? Body refining hall? These three words shook Zhou Fu's heart, and a strange smile appeared on his face. Knew? Not only did he know, but Zhou Fu had already cultivated more than half of their martial arts. You actually know about the body refining hall? Zhou Fu stared into Chen Xingye's eyes. Chen Xingye hurriedly avoided Zhou Fu's gaze. The body refining hall was in Ning'an City. Not only me but all the old people should have heard of it. Zhou Fu smiled and didn't take it to heart. Then tell me what you know. Chen Xingye slowly straightened his chest, turned around and pointed at Zhang Qinyan. What I know is partly thanks to this witch. After a night of torment, Chen Xingye was certain that the person who betrayed him was Zhang Qinyan. That wasn't all. He could see it himself, and he acknowledged Zhou Fu's words, so he didn't intend to pursue his past. At this time, he was a prisoner and his life was in danger. This was all caused by Zhang Qinyan, so he hated Zhang Qinyan in his heart. Facing Zhang Qinyan's somewhat dazed eyes, Chen Xingye fiercely said, This old man is 73 years old this year. He had eaten and played all that he wanted to eat. Including you, which... At this time, Chen Xingye's spirit was excited, and his blood was rushing, and his body began to tremble. 20 years ago, Ning'an City's Zhang family suddenly wanted to marry my Chen family. They said that the Zhang family's Pearl, the youngest and most precious daughter of the Zhang family's head, had taken a fancy to my Chen family's branch, Chen Guhong. She secretly promised to marry no one but him. When this news spread, the group of old people in the family were stunned. On one hand they were ecstatic, and on the other hand they were puzzled. They looked for Chen Guhong at that time, but Chen Guhong didn't know what was going on. He even said that he didn't know this witch at that time. Moreover, with my status, when was it my turn to decide on marriage? At that time, the head of the Zhang family personally came to my Chen family and talked with the head of the family for several hours. Then, the two families decided on this marriage. Here comes the strangest thing. Chen Xingye stared at Zhang Qinyan, whose expression was changing. It was raining heavily that day, and you came to my Chen family in a horse carriage. There were no wedding ceremonies, and even the banquet was hastily organized in my house. After the wedding night, Gu Hong moved into the study for a long time. He stayed there for 20 years. Zhang Qinyan screamed, "Is this the reason you rushed into my room on the second day of my wedding and humiliated me?" "Enough!" Chen Guhong roared angrily. "Chen Xingye, Elder Chen, since you want to tell me the secret in exchange for your dog life, then tell me the secret. Don't talk about these useless things. How can you say that it's useless? This is the reason." A strange smile appeared on Chen Xingye's face, and he looked at Chen Guhong with disdain. "Did you know that your wife secretly went out to meet her lover on the night of her wedding?" "You!" Zhang Qingyan's eyes widened, and the expression on her face slowly turned into fear. Chen Xingye didn't care about this, and he continued, "No matter what, Gu Hong is still a member of my Chen family. I found out about the Chen family's scandal, so I naturally had to investigate it. Which, I don't need to tell you what happened after that night, right?" Zhang Qingyan's face turned pale, and she fell to the ground without saying a word. The next day, I saw Gu Hong move out of his room and move into the study. At that time I thought, since a witch like you is so pretty and unrestrained, since Gu Hong doesn't want you, then I won't hold back. Bastard! Old dog! Zhang Qinyan cursed, and tears streamed down her face. Zhou Fu sat on the main seat and watched with great interest. He wasn't even in a hurry to ask about the secret. Zhang Qinyan suddenly turned to Chen Guhong. "This old bastard talked about me like that in front of you, and you didn't even react. You're a turtle. Trash. Trash who didn't even touch me on the night of our wedding." At this moment, Chen Guhong slowly said, "I started studying medicine when I was 4. The room suddenly fell silent. When I was 10, the old man in my family called me a rare talent. My father was afraid that I would be in the limelight, so he kept this a secret." Chen Guhong took a deep breath. "On the day of the wedding, I held your hand and secretly checked your body. At that time, you were 14 years old and already pregnant. I wanted to leave at that time, but I didn't expect you to drug the wine." The anger on Zhang Qingyan's face disappeared instantly. You, quiet." Zhou Fu spoke, and he looked at Chen Xingye. Continue. "Yes. Later, I secretly investigated the man's identity, but unfortunately, the Chen family suddenly encountered trouble. As the butler of the Chen family, I was naturally transferred and put down the investigation. 2 years later, the Chen family survived with the help of the Zhang family, but we also suffered great losses. Of course, as the butler, we were very busy. 2 years later, the Chen family not only recovered but also made great progress. At this time, I also had some free time, and then I realized." Chen Xingye looked at Zhang Qinyan. "You were still secretly meeting with that man. You were in the Chen family for 5 years. You were secretly meeting with him for 5 years. She was so king loyal." This was Zhou Fu's thought. "When I continued to investigate, the Zhang family was in trouble. All of the Zhang family's businesses were in trouble. Then, the shops were smashed and even caught on fire. Then, in one night, hundreds of people in the Zhang family were killed." Zhou Fu was speechless. What kind of king luck was this? Something happened as soon as he investigated. That was amazing. After that, Chen Xingye talked about a series of twists and turns, and investigated intermittently for more than 10 years before discovering the man's identity. The man's name was Zhang Yao, the eldest son of the Zhang family's patriarch, and also Zhang Qingyan's elder brother. After hearing this news, everyone in the hall was stunned. They all looked at the trembling Zhang Qinyan, wanting to know the exact answer. Old bastard! You're talking nonsense. You're obviously spouting nonsense. Chen Xingye laughed sinisterly. I'm spouting nonsense? That Zhang Yao isn't dead yet. The moment he said that, Zhang Qinyan felt as if she was struck by lightning. Chen Xingye turned to Zhou Fu. Sir, that Zhang Yao later seduced the eldest daughter of the Jin family who was in the escort business. Many people might not know, but the patriarch of the Jin family who took over the Jin family's business was the eldest son of the body refining hall's elder, Jin Quetian. Jin Quetian was born with 2 daughters, the eldest, Jin Yuanzhu, and the younger, Jin Yuanxi. Although they were both beautiful, their temperaments were very different. Jin Yuanzhu was arrogant and vicious. After she got together with Zhang Yao, she became even more arrogant and despotic, and indulged in debauchery. Jin Quetian disliked her. The younger, Jin Yuanxi, was kind and was regarded as the apple of Jin Quetian's eye. He also found a good husband for her, the eldest son of the Bai family in Ning and Bai Lang, who was known as Prince Runyu. Chapter 175. Bai Lang? Zhou Fu's eyes widened. This news really shocked him. He didn't expect to find Bai Lang's hometown. At this moment, everyone in the hall was looking at Zhang Qinyan and Chen Xingye. No one noticed Zhou Fu's strange behavior. Chen Guhong said, I know about the Bai family. That young master Ruanyu and Bai Lang. Am I ignorant? Hey! Of course you don't know. Chen Xingye laughed strangely and said, when young master Ruanyu first became famous, your illegitimate child was just born. How could you be in the mood to pay attention to these things? Illegitimate child? Zhou Fu turned to look at Chen Guhong. He saw that the other party's face was red, and he looked extremely embarrassed and angry. Chen Guhong asked in a panic, How did you know? How did I know? Chen Xingye sneered. Chen Guhong, you ate and lived in the Chen family. You lived in the Chen family all your life. Why? Don't tell me you think you did it secretly? Looking at Chen Guhong's expression, Chen Xingye laughed wildly. Ha 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 ha. Why don't you think about it? You put that woman in a remote place and she was safe for so many years. No one bothered her. Why? Don't tell me you think that people outside are simple and kind families? Chen Guhong was speechless. He knelt there in a daze. Zhou Fu reminded him, continue talking about the Jin family. Oh, it's this old man who talked too much. Chen Xingye quickly changed the topic. Jin Yuanzhu, the eldest daughter of the Jin family, saw that her sister had such a good husband, and her lover was a playboy. Jealousy burned in her heart. So, under Zhang Yao's instigation, Jin Yuanzhu actually drugged her sister and wanted Zhang Yao to sully her innocence. Zhou Fu blinked. He was shocked by Jin Yuanzhu's viciousness. It was because of jealousy that she was so ruthless to her own sister. Even if he killed someone, he would only nod his head to the ground. This was a King heart-rending move. Sigh. Chen Xingye sighed. It can be said that good people have good karma. That Jin Yuanzhu's evil plan was exposed, but that Jin Yuanxi also drank some medicinal wine. Taking advantage of the fact that the medicine had not taken effect, he fled in a panic. Zhang Yao and Jin Yuanzhu chased after him. Just as Jin Yuanxi was about to fall into the tiger's mouth, he met Bai Lang. After that, Jin Yuanxi should have been saved. This gossip sounded great, but Zhou Fu was confused. What was going on with the body refining hall? You've said so much. Where's the body refining hall? There is, Chen Xingye hastily said. After Jin Yuanzhu poisoned Jin Yuanxi, the Bai family was furious. They went to Jin Quetian and demanded an explanation. Jin Quetian is also an impatient person. He captured Jin Yuanzhu and Zhang Yao. Just as Jin Quetian was about to kill Zhang Yao, Jin Yuanzhu suddenly claimed that she was pregnant. Impossible! Zhang Qinyan suddenly let out an ear-piercing shriek. He wouldn't do that. It's all fake. It's all fake. Chen Xingye sneered at Zhang Qinyan. That Jin Quetian saw that his daughter was pregnant. Under Jin Yuanzhu's pleading and Jin Yuanqi's pleading, Jin Quetian dispelled his intention to kill Zhang Yao. The condition was that Zhang Yao would become the son-in-law of the Jin family. After Zhang Yao entered the Jin family, he did not change his bad habit. He secretly practiced the art of poison. After he mastered the art of poison, his evil intentions rose and he once again tried to kill Jin Yuanqi. Unfortunately, this matter was discovered by Jin Quetian. In the end, Zhang Yao sprinkled the poison and escaped. That poison powder was naturally ineffective against Jin Quetian, who was on guard. However, Jin Yuanzhu and Jin Yuanqi were not spared. Jin Yuanzhu also lost her child because of this. Jin Yuanqi was nearby and was seriously injured. Later, Jin Quetian issued a kill order. Whoever could cut off Zhang Yao's head would be rewarded with 1,000 gold. Thus, Zhang Yao became a rat crossing the street. Many people were looking for him. Zhang Yao saw that his life was in danger and spread the word that Jin Quetian was a remnant of the body refining hall and the only son of the body refining hall's elder Jin Shahai. The entire Ning and city became lively. One night, the Jin family was attacked by a powerful enemy. Just as the Jin family was about to be destroyed, Jin Shahai appeared. He killed over 100 people and then fled with serious injuries. Zhang Yao took advantage of the chaos in the Jin family and took away a large amount of money from the Jin family, as well as many secret arts. If Sir can find Zhang Yao, then you will definitely obtain the body refining hall's secret arts. Zhou Fu narrowed his eyes. How do you know so much? Chen Xingye smiled bitterly. I won't hide it from Sir. When I heard that the Jin family was a remnant of the body refining hall, I knew that the Jin family would be in trouble. Thus, I had evil intentions and wanted to obtain the treasures of the body refining hall. Unfortunately, I was one step too late. Zhou Fu nodded, but in his heart, he did not fully believe it. Then you know where Zhang Yao is? I don't know. Zhou Fu laughed. I say, old man Chen, you can't be thinking of using this story to exchange for your life, right? Of course not. Chen Xingye shook his head. Although the story is interesting, Sir may not believe it completely. However, I can help Sir catch Zhang Yao. Tell me. Chen Xingye turned and pointed at Chen Wenyao. This bastard is Zhang Yao's bloodline, and also the last of the Zhang family. As long as we take him out, we can definitely lure Zhang Yao out. No. Zhang Qinyan screamed and hugged Chen Wenyao's head tightly in her arms. Wenyao is not. Chen Xingye sneered. Whether it is or not, we will know once we try. What are you trying to say? Take Chen Wenyao away and arrange for a third-level bone tempering expert to watch over him. Don't let him die. Zhou Fu waved his hand and ordered. Yes, sir, rest assured, I will arrange it. The head of the Qin family's guards, Qin Moran, called the guards outside and took Chen Wenyao away from Zhang Qingyan's hands. Then, they took him away to watch over him. Yaoer! Zhang Qingyan's voice was extremely mournful. Whoosh! A nut flew through the air and knocked Zhang Qingyan unconscious. Zhou Fu retracted his hand and said indifferently, I have another question. It is said that this woman made things difficult for Chen Guhong and even monopolized the power of the Chen family. Why did you let her go? There is nothing we can do about it. Chen Xingye sighed. Back then, I wanted to use this witch to threaten Zhang Yao. Who knew that Zhang Yao was so ruthless that he actually poisoned several elders of the Chen family. The Chen family was in a state of panic for a while, so no one dared to control this witch anymore. So you just watched her abuse her power? Chen Guhong stared at Chen Xingye and roared. What else are you dissatisfied with? Chen Xingye asked. What do you mean? What do I mean? Your child is living well, that woman is carefree, and you have become the head of the Chen family. What else do you want? Or rather, what else are you dissatisfied with? Chen Guhong opened his mouth and suddenly didn't know how to refute. Yes, what else could he be dissatisfied with? If Zhang Qinyan was removed from his life, then his life would be smooth sailing. Clap, clap. Zhou Fu clapped his hands lightly and attracted the attention of the people in the hall. He said, Chen Guhong, I will give you 5 days to settle the matters of the Chen family. After 5 days, go and find Huang Feng. 3 days. Chen Guhong said in a deep voice, Sir, 3 days is enough. From Chen Guhong's determined expression, Zhou Fu could tell that he was pleading for his family. 3 days? Fine, as you wish. Zhou Fu took 2 steps towards the door and said, In that case, you will be in charge of Zhang Yao. As for that old ghost Chen Xingye, he still has some use. Let him stay. Thank you, sir, for your mercy. Chen Xingye roared emotionally. After returning from the Chen family, Zhou Fu received a letter from Huang Jia. Through last night's operation, the financial crisis had been resolved. Currently, Huang Jia was rushing to settle the businesses of the 6 families. Phew! Zhou Fu sighed in relief. The feeling of not having money, no matter where it is unbearable. Now I can finally cultivate in peace for a few days. 3 days later, Huang Feng brought news that the matters of the Qin family had been settled. Currently, Chen Guhong was helping Huang Jia to settle the businesses. Chen Wenyao's matter had been spread through Zhou Fu's restaurants and gambling houses. There were also more than 30 constables secretly investigating. 10 days later, Zhou Fu broke through to the first stage of the bone forging stage with the help of a large number of pills. However, there was still no news of Zhang Yao. My body no longer has the unique blood-red energy of the demonic whale-killing fist. However, I can still feel the existence of that energy. Zhou Fu looked at his attribute pain. The level of the demonic whale-killing fist was still there. He then looked at the description of the Wisdom King scripture. At the same time, he recalled the changes that had occurred when he had broken through that day. This Buddhist Dharma exorcism. Could it be that the Akala Dharma idol had merged the power of the demonic whale-killing fist? After having this idea, Zhou Fu immediately began to test it. Previously, after increasing his strength, he had placed his focus on his own money bag. That night, he had told Huang Feng and the other 2 to do as they pleased. However, he had still secretly followed them. Demonic whale-killing fist. Zhou Fu muttered to himself. The Akala Dharma idol in his sea of consciousness suddenly stood up. A blood-red light bloomed between its eyebrows, and a black fog spread out from its body. This is the feeling. Zhou Fu raised both his hands. Blood-red light spots appeared in the air around him. Streams of black fog floated out from under Zhou Fu's feet and quickly enveloped the entire training room. This feeling. Good fortune had come to his mind. A comfortable feeling welled up in his heart. He could clearly feel that his speed and strength had increased to a certain extent. Whoosh! A burst of black fog rolled over and over. Zhou Fu's figure instantly disappeared from the spot. Then, illusory figures appeared and disappeared in the black fog. Ha 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 ha. So that's how it is, that's how it is. Chapter 176. My lord, Huang Feng is here. He said he has something important to discuss with you. Yuzhu's voice came from outside the door. Got it. Zhou Fu replied. The black mist that filled the room suddenly paused, as if it had been paused. Then, it abruptly shrunk back to Zhou Fu's feet, and the room suddenly lit up. Zhou Fu grinned and turned to leave the room. In the study, Huang Feng saw Zhou Fu coming over and hurriedly stood up. My lord. Yuzhu said you have something urgent? Tell me, what did you encounter? After Zhou Fu discovered the new effect of the demon whale-killing fist, he was full of joy and wanted to find someone to test it out. Huang Feng's expression was awkward, and he said with difficulty, My lord, yesterday we found traces of Zhang Yao. He was hiding in a house in the west of the city. Then, I sent people to capture him. Not only did they not catch him, but he also escaped. We also poisoned 4 of our people, 1 at the 3rd level of the bone forging stage, and 3 at the 2nd level of the bone forging stage. Zhou Fu's eyes lit up and he asked, "What is Zhang Yao's cultivation level?" This. According to the news from my subordinates, Zhang Yao is only at the 2nd level of the bone forging stage. His movement technique is very fast, and he also knows how to disguise himself. No one fought with him? No. Huang Feng shook his head. After Zhang Yao discovered us, he immediately turned around and ran away. Our people were poisoned when we were chasing him. Poison technique. Zhou Fu was a little speechless. This thing was indeed annoying. However, he remembered that he had a bunch of physique attributes in his kung fu. Moreover, the scripture of the wise king also had the effect of resisting abnormal statuses. He wondered if it would be useful against Zhang Yao. Thinking of this, Zhou Fu was suddenly eager to give it a try. Thus he ordered, "Then continue to search. After you find him, keep an eye on him. I will personally take action." Hearing that Zhou Fu was about to make a move, Huang Feng quickly replied, "Yes, my lord." After that, he continued, "Sir, during this arrest, one of the constables discovered that there were people from other forces. They were also looking for Zhang Yao. Do you know who it is? We're still investigating, but I'm guessing that it should be the Bai clan." Zhou Fu was just about to speak when he suddenly raised his head to look outside. At this moment, Yuju's reprimanding voice came from outside the door. "Who allowed you to enter the backyard? Don't you know the rules?" Plop! Yuju's voice suddenly disappeared, followed by the sound of a body falling to the ground. Huang Feng's eyes suddenly widened as a look of horror appeared on his face. "How dare you?" Zhou Fu grinned. Bang! The door of the room was slammed open by a huge force, and then a large amount of white fog drifted in. Big! Huang Feng had just uttered a word when he suddenly fell to the ground, as if his bones and tendons had been pulled out. Zhou Fu sat still and stared in the direction of the door. I was wondering who it was that was looking for me. So it's just a kid." Following the white fog, a man walked in. With a surge of energy, the door closed with a bang. "Kid, can you tell me who asked you to do this?" The man walked closer. Zhou Fu asked back, "You're Zhang Yao." Zhang Yao sneered. "You don't know me? You spent so much effort to find me, and you don't even know what I look like? It's really you." Whoosh! A strong airflow rose in the room, and the half-opened window was suddenly completely blown open. A large amount of black fog gushed out from under Zhou Fu's feet, like a raging wave that blotted out the sky and covered the entire room. Not good. Zhang Yao suddenly widened his eyes, and the expression on his face changed drastically. He turned around and was about to escape. Just as he was about to use his movement skill, he suddenly felt something wrapped around his feet. He looked down, and a layer of sweat suddenly appeared on his forehead. He saw thin black ribbons tied around his ankles, and they were still climbing up his body, just like the ivy outside a residential house. "What the hell is this?" he cried out in shock. The black fog surged, and Zhou Fu's figure appeared on Zhang Yao's left side. He hit Zhang Yao's shoulder with his palm, and a faint golden light flashed and disappeared. Zhang Yao was sent flying, and he crashed into a wooden chair before falling to the ground. "I heard that your poison skills are quite good. Show me, and maybe I'll be happy and let you go." Zhou Fu grinned, but after he finished speaking, the smile on his face suddenly froze. Why did what he said just now sound so awkward, as if he was a villain? Bang! A white fog burst out from Zhang Yao's body, and like mercury, it spread to the surroundings. As for Zhang Yao, he raised his hand and sprinkled a dark green powder, and rushed to the nearest window without looking back. Sizzle! After the white fog appeared, the surrounding black fog instantly became violent, and the white fog was pushed to the center by the rotation. Zhou Fu looked at the incoming powder and thought for a moment. He suppressed the thought of facing it head-on. In a flash, He appeared in front of Zhang Yao and raised his leg to kick him back. "Forget it, I'll take you down first, and then we'll have a good chat." Zhou Fu flashed again and came to Zhang Yao's side. He raised his hand and a faint golden light flowed on his arm. Unexpectedly, Zhang Yao suddenly opened his eyes, and a ferocious smile appeared on his face. It was an expression that was a mixture of pain and pleasure. He suddenly tore open his clothes, revealing his bark-like skin. There were grooves on his skin, and black liquid kept flowing out. "You want to destroy my Zhang family? Don't think you'll have it easy. Let's go to hell together." Zhou Fu frowned and a feeling of uneasiness appeared. He suddenly stopped his hand, and the faint golden light on his arm rushed out, thinning the surrounding black fog. The golden light hit Zhang Yao's chest, and immediately drilled into his body. When the golden light entered his body, the seal of the bright king's scripture appeared, and immediately locked Zhang Yao's inner qi and blood. After seeing Zhang Yao fall to the ground, Zhou Fu was about to disperse the black fog, but the flesh on Zhang Yao's chest suddenly vibrated, and a white fog with a hint of gray came out from the grooves on his skin, and condensed into a ghost face and rushed towards Zhou Fu. "What the hell is this?" Zhou Fu was shocked. Blood-red dots of light appeared one after another, quickly forming into a blood-red giant beast, which charged toward the ghost face. Roar! The beast and the ghost face collided. Under Zhou Fu's horrified gaze, the blood-red demon whale instantly drilled through the ghost face and bombarded the ground. With a boom, it blasted a hole in the solid ground, and the gravel and dirt splattered everywhere, and Zhang Yao was covered in blood. The ghost face caught up to Zhou Fu's arm, opened its mouth, and bit down on his forearm. At this moment, Zhou Fu felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave, and the blood flow in his body slowed down. At this moment, the ghost face also collapsed, and turned into a gray fog, and drilled into Zhou Fu's arm. Chapter 177. Ha 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 ha! Seeing the ghost face biting Zhou Fu's arm, Zhang Yao laughed wildly, completely ignoring the blood flowing out of his body. "I will make you die a horrible death. A horrible death." At this time, Zhou Fu was not in the mood to fight with him. At this time, the cold aura had disappeared. He exposed his arm, and there was a ghost face imprinted on it. Zhou Fu calmed himself down, his mind turning rapidly. Ghost? Dealing with this kind of thing is naturally the specialty of Taoists and Buddhists. Thinking of this, the surrounding black fog dissipated, and then a golden light flowed from his shoulder to the ghost face. Squeak! When the golden light and the ghost face came into contact, an ear-piercing scream went straight into Zhou Fu's mind. Roar! At this time, the Akala image roared to the sky, the golden chain in its left hand suddenly locked the ghost face, and at the same time raised its right hand. The golden sword turned into a golden light and nailed the ghost face. The fire behind the Akala image's head rose up along the chain, burning the ghost face out of shape. Puff! The ghost face exploded. Wisps of gray mist drifted out. Hiss! Roar! We will not let you go. A pile of white powder fell. Impossible! This is impossible! Seeing that Zhang Yao was on the verge of breaking down, he roared like a madman. Zhou Fu raised his hand and waved it. A gust of wind sent Zhang Yao flying, crashing into a pillar in the room. Zhang Yao rolled his eyes and lost consciousness. This powder looks familiar. Zhou Fu slowly squatted down and looked at the small pile of white powder on the ground. When he killed his way into the Red Sea Gang's base, he also found something similar. At that time, his support skill had not been upgraded, and the skill upgrade still needed a cooldown time. And this powder was just enough to shorten the cooldown time of the skill upgrade. Let's try. Although Zhou Fu's skill upgrade no longer needed a cooldown time, now the limiting factor is his body's status value, and the actual endurance of his body. Zhou Fu slowly stretched out his finger and placed it on the powder. A vision suddenly appeared. Streams of cold air flowed into his body through his fingers. As the coolness entered his body, Zhou Fu was startled at first. However, when he felt that the coolness did not cause any damage to his body, but instead nourished the parts that it passed through, a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. Good stuff. He looked at the fainted Zhang Yao with sparkling eyes. Looks like we have something to talk about. Duan Qing, along with dozens of guards, came to protect the old doctor of the Qin family. Sir, I've brought them here. Zhou Fu nodded and ordered the guards to guard the courtyard. Then, he led Duan Qing and the old physician to the room. He pointed at the unconscious Huang Feng and Yuzhu, as well as the two guards, and said to the old doctor, "Please take a look at them." Yes. The old doctor came to Yuzhu's side and used all kinds of methods to examine her. Then, he frowned and pondered for a while. Then, he came to Huang Feng's side and busied himself again. "Sir, these two people are unconscious. They must have been poisoned. This is the first time I've seen this kind of poison, so," looking at the old doctor's expression, Zhou Fu nodded. He felt that this was normal. After all, Zhang Yao came here with the intention of dying. If he used ordinary poison, it would be unbelievable. "It's fine. Please follow me." I don't dare. "Sir, you can just call me Old Li," the old doctor quickly said. They walked through the courtyard and came to the innermost part of the house. This was originally a garden. Since the accident at the construction site, Zhou Fu had people build an underground prison here. After entering the prison, Zhou Fu pointed at Zhang Yao, who was stripped of his clothes and tied up, and said, "Please take a look at him. It's fine as long as he's not dead." The old doctor looked at the skin that was like dead wood, and secretly swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He took out a small wooden box from his medicine box and opened it. Then, he took out a ball of golden thread. Then, he swallowed a black pill and covered his mouth and nose. He came to a place 3 steps away from Zhang Yao and shook his hand. A golden light connected to Zhang Yao's wrist. Zhou Fu's eyes shone when he saw this. He could see that the old doctor in front of him was just an ordinary person. It was not easy for him to do this. After a while, the old doctor's wrist shook and the golden thread on Zhang Yao's wrist fell off. "Sir, this person's body is full of poison, but it's safe inside his body. He should be one of those people in the pugilistic world who practiced the art of poison. As for his internal injuries, it's not a big problem. It's easy to wake him up. All you need to do is stimulate him a little." Hearing the old doctor's words, Zhou Fu was relieved. He called a guard and asked him to bring the old doctor out of the prison. "Duan Qing, wake him up." Yes. Duan Qing picked up a wooden bucket and filled it with water. He splashed it all over Zhang Yao's body. Under the stimulation of the cold water, Zhang Yao woke up with a shiver. "Beat him." Zhou Fu's eyes flashed coldly as he shouted. Duan Qing was stunned when he heard this order. He was almost unable to react. According to the normal procedure, he should first be questioned. If the other party refused to talk, then he would be tortured. Yes. Duan Qing took a leather whip from the wall and dipped it in the water. Puff. Blood mixed with black juice splattered everywhere. After seeing the effect of his whip, Duan Qing hurriedly turned to Zhou Fu and explained, "Sir, this subordinate did not use inner strength." Duan Qing could see that the person in front of him was a cultivator, and a bone-forging cultivator at that. Even though his whip would hurt, it would not have caused such a miserable state. "Don't worry, I have sealed his inner strength and blood qi. He is now only slightly better than an ordinary person. Continue." After receiving Zhou Fu's order, Duan Qing restrained his strength. Suddenly, the shadow of the whip flew around in a very orderly manner. Every time the whip landed, it would be at the moment when the pain from the previous whip subsided. After more than 10 minutes, Zhang Yao's voice was hoarse. He shouted at Zhou Fu, "What do you want to know? What do you want to know?" Zhou Fu raised his hand and Duan Qing hurriedly stopped. "The antidote." Zhang Yao hurriedly reported a prescription, and then lowered his head to catch his breath. Duan Qing, go get the old doctor. Yes. After a while, the old doctor came in with a guard. When he saw Zhang Yao's miserable state, his face twitched and he lowered his head, not daring to look again. Zhou Fu said to Zhang Yao, say the prescription again. Zhang Yao hurriedly repeated it. The old doctor listened attentively. When Zhang Yao finished, he began to deduce the effect of the prescription in his mind. At this moment, Zhou Fu suddenly said the name of a medicine. He asked, what's next? Zhang Yao was stunned. After thinking for a while, he hurriedly reported the name of the medicine. Zhou Fu nodded, indicating that there was no problem. It was exactly the same 3 times. At this time, the old doctor explained the effect of the prescription to Zhou Fu and then followed the guard out of the dungeon. Zhou Fu said to Zhang Yao, if you cooperate, I will let the bloodline of the Zhang family continue. Do you think I am a 3-year-old child? Zhang Yao sneered. Dark red blood flowed down the corner of his mouth. Now that you and I are mortal enemies, you will let me continue to live? Zhou Fu laughed. Who do you think you are? Or rather, who do you think you are? Facing Zhang Yao's angry eyes, Zhou Fu continued, not to mention now, even if the Zhang family was at its peak, so what? If I wanted to destroy the Zhang family, it would be as easy as lifting my hand. Humph, although you should not look down on yourself, you should not take yourself too seriously. You. Zhang Yao's eyes widened. The anger in them seemed to want to burn Zhou Fu into a pile of ashes. Suddenly, the strength supporting Zhang Yao disappeared. He understood that it was just as Zhou Fu had said. Even if it was the Zhang clan of the past, no one would take them seriously. Will you really let our family reunite and leave the Zhang family a way out? Zhou Fu nodded patiently. I will prepare a courtyard for you. In the future, your family of 3 will live there honestly. Of course, I will not support you for no reason. I'll have someone arrange some things for you to do to supplement your family's expenses. Zhang Yao opened his mouth. Zhou Fu said that he did not want the life he wanted. Perhaps it was the dream of others, but it was not what he wanted. However, the current situation did not allow him to think too much. He lowered his head and looked at his upper body. He sighed. What do you want to know? Body refining hall. Zhou Fu calmly spat out 3 words. Body refining hall? Zhang Yao looked at Zhou Fu in surprise. You want the body refining hall's martial arts? But you already have your current cultivation. Even if Jin Shahai was reborn, he would not be as powerful as you. Their martial arts are useless to you. And if this matter is spread out, you will attract unnecessary trouble. Do you know the giant whale? Zhou Fu asked. Of course I know. I am the giant whale's foreign affairs envoy. The sect still has the body refining hall's martial arts, but no one has come looking for trouble. What? You are the giant whale's foreign affairs envoy? Hearing the other party's question, Zhou Fu laughed. I can mobilize so many people to look for you. You don't even know who I am? Zhang Yao was speechless. It wasn't strange that so many people were looking for him. Back then, he had killed a lot of people with his poison. He had offended many families, especially the Bai family. They had never stopped chasing after him for more than 10 years. Therefore, he did not think that so many people were sent by one person. If he knew, he would not have come looking for him. Zhang Yao smiled bitterly and said in address. The things I took from the Jin family are all there. Zhou Fu gave Duan Qing a look and the other party immediately went out. After Duan Qing left, only Zhou Fu and Zhang Yao were left in the cell. You want to know about that ghost face? Zhou Fu walked to the side and sat down. Since you know, then tell me. Chapter 178. At this time, Zhang Yao also let go of his worries and began to recount his experience. After the Jin family was annihilated that night, I was targeted by many people. They kept sending people to kill me and I kept killing them. In this Ning and East City, the only person I cared about was Qin Yan. In order to prevent the Chun family from bullying her, I went to the Chun family and killed a few people so that they wouldn't dare to do anything to Qin Yan. After that, I didn't dare to stay in the city anymore. Otherwise, with the power of those people, I would be found sooner or later. After the plan was set, I parted ways with Qin Yan and went out of the city alone. However, when I left the city, I was still discovered. Those people started to chase me crazily. I fought and ran. Zhang Yao had a complicated look in his eyes, as though he was reminiscing. In order for the bloodline of the Zhang family to continue, I knew that I couldn't be too far away from Ning and East City and couldn't be caught by those people. Otherwise, there would be no future for the Zhang family. Thus, I circled around Ning and East City on 3 sides. 3 sides? Zhou Fu interrupted him. How could Ning and East City only have 3 sides? Zhang Yao looked strangely at Zhou Fu. The 4 cities of Ning and East City surround the main city in the middle. The empty space is the Grain Valley. Don't you know? Zhou Fu frowned. I'm the one asking you now. All right, the Grain Valley is the responsibility of the state of Liang's agriculture department. It's divided into 4 parts. 2 produce grain, 1 produce meat, and 1 is for the military and officials. Usually, it's heavily guarded. The patrolling guards are all above the bone-forging realm, and the general is at the peak of the blood-changing realm. After they form a military formation, even if 1 or 2 ordinary mortal evolution states came, they would be suppressed and beaten. Of course, I didn't dare to go. Zhou Fu nodded. Continue talking about the ghost phase. Zhou Fu didn't ask much about the situation in Ning'an City. After he dealt with the forces in the East City, those things would naturally appear in front of him. In the southeast direction of Ning'an East City, about 150 kilometers away, there is a strange village. The people there are all lifeless. They work and rest every day like puppets. At that time, in order to avoid being hunted, I stayed there for a night. Who knew that all kinds of strange things would happen in the middle of the night, and that was when the ghost face appeared on my body. At this point, Zhang Yao's face revealed a very ugly smile. It was a mixture of fear, anger, regret, and even a trace of relief. The next morning, I was surprised to find that all the wounds on my body had healed. Just as I was about to leave, a villager appeared before me. He told me that my house had been built and I could move in. At that time, I thought that this person was a spy of the people who were after me. He even knew my name. At that time, I had disguised myself. So, in my panic, I smashed his chest. At this time, Zhang Yao looked seriously into Zhou Fu's eyes. I'm sure I broke his chest. After that, when I was about to leave the village and enter the forest, the villager that I killed appeared again. He told me that if I dared to leave the village, I would have to bear the consequences. At this time, Zhang Yao's face was full of malevolence. I didn't believe it, so I killed the villager again. After that, I ran into the forest. Zhou Fu listened attentively and asked, And then? Zhang Yao puffed up his chest. This is the outcome. That's not right. Zhou Fu frowned. Zhang Yao's heart jumped. What's not right? Zhou Fu stared into Zhang Yao's eyes and asked word by word, If what you said is true, then how did you come to Ning'an East City? Exchange. Yes. I promised to bring back 10 people for the ghost face to live on. Only then could I come out. Regarding this answer, Zhou Fu pondered for a moment. Who did you exchange with? Zhang Yao answered truthfully, There is an ancestral hall in the village. There is a statue of a woman inside. I didn't find out her identity, so I exchanged with her. This Zhang Yao is not honest. Zhou Fu thought in his heart. How did you know to exchange with her? The village has a sacrifice every 3 days. At that time, the villagers will catch a lot of wild beasts from the surrounding mountains and hold a blood sacrifice in front of the statue. At that time, the number of blood sacrifices will appear in my mind. Later on, after several tests, I found out that the statue is mysterious. That's all I know. You're still honest. Zhou Fu nodded and said against his will. Zhang Yao asked, I've said what I need to say. When can I be reunited with my family? There's no hurry. Wait until my people get the things from the place you mentioned. As it should be. 3 hours later, a few guards carried a box and came to the dungeon. Lord, this is the thing we got from the place you mentioned. Zhou Fu walked over and kicked the lid of the box. He then kicked a few more times, shattering the box and scattering the things inside. Most of the things in the box were gold, silver, and jewels. There were also some gold and silver note. Next were a few secret manuals: copper armor body, windbreaker blade art, flowing venom, sky-deceiving illusion technique, shadow transformation. There were more than 10 martial arts manuals scattered around. Zhang Yao looked at the scattered things and said, sky-deceiving, shadow transformation, flowing venom, and windbreaker blade are all earth rank. The rest are mystic rank. You only brought these things from the Jin clan? Zhou Fu was very dissatisfied with the things in the box. Look carefully. There are 4 earth rank martial arts in here. 4. Sky deceiving, shadow transformation, and flowing venom are enough for me to run amok in Ning and Yu. Originally, Zhang Yao wanted to explain how powerful the 4 martial arts manuals he had cultivated were. However, when he thought about how Zhou Fu could easily crush him, he decided not to say anything. Maybe you don't care about these things, but you can go and ask how precious these things are. Just these secret manuals in front of you are enough to create a small force. Zhou Fu didn't know whether to agree or disagree with Zhang Yao's words. He picked up the copper armor body and flipped through it. This martial art is an advanced martial art from the Body Refining Hall. It uses copper armor art and iron bone secret manual as the foundation. After cultivating it, no weapons below earth rank will be able to harm you. Moreover, your strength and recovery speed will be several times faster than ordinary people. Zhang Yao explained. It's a pity that the copper armor art can be found. The iron bone secret manual has been missing for a long time. However, I have a method, that is to use medicinal baths to stimulate it. It can also meet the requirements to cultivate this martial art. Moreover, this martial art is one of the core martial arts of the Body Refining Hall. Core martial art? Zhou Fu sneered. Just this mystic rank high-grade martial art. Chapter 179. Zhang Yao looked at Zhou Fu and explained, the importance of this technique lies in its ability to connect the previous and the following. You must know that in the Body Refining Hall, only the elite disciples were able to practice this technique. After mastering it, if you become a core disciple, you will be able to practice the mid-grade Earth-class adamantine battle body. Speaking up to here, Zhang Yao's voice lowered. The adamantine battle body is a weaker version of the Titan battle body of the Body Refining Hall's 4 great divine techniques. It can also be said to be the foundation of Titan battle body. Without adamantine battle body as a foundation, ordinary people would not even be able to touch the door of Titan battle body. Zhang Yao's voice was filled with emotion. Back then, when the Jin family was annihilated, Jin Shahai relied on the adamantine battle body to kill hundreds of people and escaped unscathed. Zhou Fu suddenly opened his mouth. What? Jin Shahai didn't die? Of course he didn't die. Zhang Yao looked at Zhou Fu. That Jin Shahai was one of the 4 great elders of the Body Refining Hall. If not for the Body Refining Hall's destruction, he wouldn't have been stuck at the peak of blood transformation and couldn't break through to Exuvia realm. Even so, that night, Jin Shahai killed more than 23rd blood transformation realm cultivators. It can be seen that the Body Refining Hall's techniques are extraordinary. Listening to Zhang Yao's continuous boasting, Zhou Fu opened his mouth. Then how was the Body Refining Hall destroyed? This sentence made Zhang Yao hold back for a long time. After a while, he said, the Body Refining Hall can fight 1 against 3, or even 1 against 5, but they can't fight 1 against 10. Moreover, the body refining hall's techniques are famous for being difficult to practice. Therefore, the number of core disciples is very small. Zhou Fu nodded his head, expressing his agreement. If the body refining hall's techniques were easy to practice and powerful, the world would have long belonged to the body refining hall. After saying what needed to be said, Zhang Yao asked, "I've told you everything I know. Now that the body refining hall's items are in your hands, I don't know when my family can be reunited." "Family reunited," Zhou Fu said. "It can be done in a while." After saying that, Zhou Fu left the dungeon. When they arrived at the study, Duan Qingxian said, "My lord, the doctor has prepared the decoction according to the prescription. He has already given it to Huang Feng and Miss Yuzhu. They have already woken up, but their bodies are still a little weak. Other than that, they are fine." "That's good." Zhou Fu pondered for a moment before instructing Chen Guhong, "Go to the Chen family and tell Chen Guhong to prepare a quiet place. Throw that Mrs. Zhang and that second-generation heir with broken legs into that place. Once everything is settled, send Zhang Yao over from the dungeon." "Yes." After receiving the order, Duan Cheng asked again, "My lord, are we really going to let that thief live?" Zhou Fu didn't answer this question. Instead, he said, "Arrange for people to monitor them. There's no need to hide their identities. Also, find 2 constables and ask them to bring people to keep an eye on their family. If there are any changes, report to me immediately. Don't alarm them." Duan Qing replied solemnly, "Yes." Go. After Duan Qing left, Zhou Fu gently tapped the copper armor battle body on his left palm and laughed softly. "The story is quite good. But no matter how good the story is, how credible is it when it comes from the mouth of a scumbag?" After the voice disappeared, Zhou Fu turned and walked into the practice room. In a secluded residential area, Zhang Qinyan pushed Chen Wenyao, whose legs were broken, out of the room to bask in the sun. "Mother, can we only stay here in the future?" At this time, Chen Wenyao's face was no longer as high-spirited as before. Instead, it had a gloomy feeling. "Yao don't panic. After a while, when your father comes, those people will be afraid." Just like when the Chen family was threatened by Zhang Yao, Zhang Qinyan trusted Zhang Yao very much. Hearing Zhang Qinyan's words, Chen Wenyao didn't feel happy. Instead, he was silent for a while before asking, "Mother, my father, is it really that?" The hand on Chen Wenyao's shoulder trembled. Zhang Qinyan opened her mouth with difficulty and admitted, "Yes." As soon as this word came out, Zhang Qinyan felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from her heart. She continued, "Yao don't think too much. You are now the hope of our Zhang family. You have to know how glorious our Zhang family was in the past. The Chen family isn't even worthy of being our Zhang family's dog." Then came a lecture. Zhang Qinyan continuously instilled the glory of the Zhang family in Chen Wenyao. The more Zhang Qinyan spoke, the more lonely Chen Wenyao felt. He even felt like crying. Suddenly, Zhang Qinyan stopped talking. "Mother?" Chen Wenyao looked up and saw Zhang Qinyan staring straight at the courtyard door. Outside the half-a-person tall fence stood a man in black. He was very handsome, but his face was a little pale. Chen Wenyao looked carefully and found the man's face familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen him. Creak, the courtyard door made of several planks was pushed open and the man walked in. "Qinyan. Brother Yao." The man was Zhang Yao, who had been released by Zhou Fu. He looked at Zhang Qinyan, who was crying in his arms, and his heart was full of sorrow. In Zhang Yao's arms, Zhang Qinyan was bawling her eyes out, her tears soaking Zhang Yao's clothes. "Qinyan, we're finally reunited." Zhang Yao patted Zhang Qinyan's back gently and said softly. At this moment, 2 people appeared on the opposite side of the courtyard door. They pointed at the hugging couple in the courtyard without any hesitation. They took out a small notebook and wrote on it. Zhang Qinyan, who had raised her head, saw this scene. She looked at Zhang Yao. "They are Zhou Fu's spies. They are here to keep an eye on us." Zhang Yao replied in a muffled voice. Even spies are like this? Zhang Qinyan was in disbelief. She hurriedly asked, Brother Yao, then you, me? Zhang Yao smiled bitterly. I am now Zhou Fu's prisoner. How could this be? It's fine. Zhou Fu only sent people to keep an eye on me. Our Zhang family is still here. Zhang Qinyan stared at the face in front of her. She had imagined reuniting with Zhang Yao countless times over the countless nights. Even the worst scenario was not as hard to accept as today. Qinyan, don't think too much. We finally reunited today. I have a lot to talk to you about. Me too, Brother Yao. Go cook. We'll talk while we eat. Zhang Yao turned to Qin Wenyao. This is our child, right? After waiting for a long time, no one answered. Zhang Yao looked at Zhang Qinyan, who was in a daze, and called out to her softly. Oh, okay. I'll go buy some now. Zhang Qinyan's expression was a little ugly. These days, the Chun family has been sending food over. We haven't cooked at home. Zhang Yao was stunned for a moment. He smiled helplessly. Is that so? He turned to look at the spies outside the courtyard. Just as he was about to speak, the spies said, Don't worry, we have prepared food for your family. Chapter 180. As soon as he said that, a carriage drove over. The carriage stopped at the gate of the courtyard and Qin Guhong walked down. It's you. Zhang Qinyan was stunned. Qin Guhong's expression was calm. His gaze swept across the three people present, and there was only a slight ripple in his eyes. He pushed the door open and looked at Zhang Yao. He had to admit that Zhang Yao was much more handsome than Qin Guhong. He put down the food box and turned to get into the carriage, but he didn't say a word. Qinyan, who is that? Although he didn't know who that person was, Zhang Yao could guess his identity from Zhang Qinyan's expression. He is Qin Guhong. Zhang Qinyan didn't know why, but when she said this, she lowered her head. When Zhang Yao saw this scene, he felt his heart twitch. He forced a smile and said, Let's eat first. Okay. Zhang Qinyan replied and turned around to prepare the meal. She carried the food box to the stone table in the courtyard and took out plates of dishes. Zhang Yao looked at Zhang Qinyan's busy figure for a while, and an indescribable expression flashed through his eyes. Then, he walked behind Qin Wenyao and pushed him to the stone table. A family. Qin Wenyao suddenly laughed softly, but his laughter was full of sarcasm. Zhang Yao felt that it was very grating, but Zhang Yao didn't say anything. Thus, Zhang Yao and the other two had a meal in this strange atmosphere. After the meal, Zhang Yao pulled Zhang Qinyan to the side to chat while Qin Wenyao was basking in the sun. The two of them had too much to say to each other. They kept talking for the whole afternoon until the sun began to sink into the earth. Only then did it end. Brother Yao, is there really no other way? Just as Zhang Yao was about to get up, Zhang Qinyan suddenly asked. Today, when she found out that Zhang Yao was captured by Zhou Fu, her heart felt empty. She wanted to ask this question for a long time, but she didn't dare to. However, if she didn't ask, she wouldn't be satisfied, so she delayed until now. Looking at Zhang Qinyan's hopeful eyes, Zhang Yao's face darkened. He slowly shook his head and didn't say anything. I see. Sigh, let's rest then. Zhang Qinyan sighed. The room on the east side is Yao Er's. Push him in. All right. Zhang Yao pushed Qin Wenyao into the room and carried him to the bed. He reached out his hand and pinched Qin Wenyao's broken leg. A trace of inner strength penetrated into it. He had a better understanding of Qin Wenyao's injury. When do you plan to leave? Qin Wenyao suddenly asked. Zhang Yao's body trembled as if he was frightened. He asked, What? What are you pretending for? Qin Wenyao looked at Zhang Yao mockingly. I was watching you guys talking in the afternoon. Although my leg is broken, I'm not blind. Oh? What did you see? Zhang Yao asked curiously. I can see it. Just now, the way you looked at my mother was very cold. I'm familiar with this. You're familiar with it? Qin Wenyao sneered. Of course I'm familiar with it. When I was with Ning and Dongqing, I looked at those women the same way. You can't lie to me. Since you already hate my mother and know martial arts, you naturally won't stay here and be treated like a bird in a cage. Looking at his unfamiliar biological father, Chen Wenyao's heart was filled with hatred. He hated Zhang Qinyan. In one night, he went from the young master of the Chen family to a prisoner. He hated Zhang Yao even more. The other party gave Zhang Qinyan infinite hope, but the result was so cruel. Bird in a cage? Zhang Yao repeated in a low voice. His heart was very complicated. Feeling the pain in his chest, he sighed inwardly. He was already a bird in a cage. However, he didn't want to explain these things to Chen Wenyao. Looking at Zhang Yao, who turned to leave, Chen Wenyao sneered and turned off the light. He lay on the bed and stared blankly at the darkness in front of him. Yaoer is asleep? Zhang Qinyan saw Zhang Yao enter the room and asked. Yaoer? Zhang Yao's expression was a little strange. When he first heard his child's name, he felt uncomfortable. Now that he heard it in person, he felt even more strange. What's wrong? Zhang Qinyan smiled. You've been gone for so many years. I can't even have a thought of you? Of course not. Zhang Yao shook his head. It just sounds a little strange. He took 2 steps forward. It's been hard on you all these years. His words of concern made Zhang Qinyan's eyes turn red instantly. Aya, don't cry. It's all my fault. Seeing Zhang Qinyan's tears, Zhang Yao quickly went forward to wipe them away. Brother Yao, I missed you so much. Zhang Qinyan threw herself into Zhang Yao's arms and sobbed. Zhang Yao's body trembled and his expression became serious. His body was also trembling slightly. He opened his mouth and said in a hoarse voice, Qinyan, I'm sorry. The woman in his arms kept crying and didn't say anything. Zhang Yao reached out and hugged her. Raising his head, Zhang Yao's expression became ferocious, as if he was enduring excruciating pain. Under the light, his eyes, which were originally black and white, became cloudy and covered with a layer of gray, like a layer of mucous membrane. A few green and red blood vessels protruded from the corners of his eyes, giving off a ferocious aura. Zhang Qinyan didn't notice anything that was happening. After crying for a while, Zhang Qinyan slowly said, Brother Yao, is this the only way we can do now? Perhaps. An extremely hoarse voice sounded, causing Zhang Qinyan to have goosebumps all over her body. Brother Yao? What's wrong? At this moment she suddenly felt a little scared. She was just about to look up when Zhang Yao pressed the back of her head with his hand. She buried herself in Zhang Yao's arms again. It's nothing. I was injured by Zhou Fu today, and my internal injuries have relapsed. It's just a little painful. Zhang Yao's voice was still hoarse, right? I can't let Zhou Fu know about my cultivation. Before I heal, I have to turn off the light. After saying that, without waiting for Zhang Qinyan's response, he waved his sleeve and released his inner strength, extinguishing the light in the room. After the light was gone, Zhang Yao let go of her. Qinyan, you sleep first. I need to heal first. Okay. In the darkness, Zhang Qinyan turned around and walked to the bed. She took off her coat and lay down. At this moment, Zhang Yao's eyes were completely covered with gray, and the skin on his face was slowly wrinkling. If one looked at it under the light, they would see a metallic luster. He sat cross-legged on the ground, and the tremors of his body gradually became stronger. Intense pain spread from his heart. He opened his mouth and screamed silently. An hour later, Zhang Qinyan fell asleep. Zhang Yao stood up unsteadily. He walked to the bed and stretched out his hand, which was like a withered branch. He wanted to touch Zhang Qinyan's cheek, but he couldn't do it. Qinyan, I'm sorry. I have to leave, but I can't take you with me. I'm sorry. He stood there silently for a long time. Then, he flicked his finger and knocked out the sleeping Zhang Qinyan.